We went on to the Council of Ministers that was held just early this week. We were able to see that at least the Minister of Foreign Affairs also was leading the team, and they were also looking at what was organized by the officials who had met earlier on. So the Council of Ministers came in to look at that and tie in and fine-tune, make sure that you tie all the loose ends, because it is what is coming from the Council of Ministers is what actually is going to be fed into the main agenda of what is going to be discussed by the heads of states from Sadc.
Thank you very much, Hayam. I'll just cut you just a little bit. And as you see in picture there, the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo just arrived, and he's entering right inside the hall where the summit, the opening ceremony is taking place.
Yeah, like I said, he came in actually quite a little bit late last evening.
Yes.
And earlier this morning, I think we were expecting the president of Mozambique, that's President Nchi. Like we said, it's a very big event for the family of the Sadiq family. About 16 countries that make up Sadc. Maybe just look at the major reasons why these 16 countries decided to come up with Sadc. Sadc was started off as a development conference very early on, somewhere in 1980.
Yes.
The whole reason was to try and make sure that they create a platform where countries we are able to cooperate with each other as a way of making sure that we have regional cooperation.
Yes.
Because it was basically understood that it is through regional cooperation that most of these countries will be able to grow.
Yes.
But so the whole idea is to make sure that the economies of these countries that are part and parcel of Sadc are also able to grow, which later on is benefits the people that are in this region. At this point in time, we are looking at about 360 million people that are in all these Sadc countries. Quite a very big family. So looking at what has happened over the years, a couple of other issues they have affected, because while we're talking about regional economic integration, you have also to look at the issue of attracting foreign direct investment, because without that, then the region can't move forward at all.
That's right.
So because it is these foreign direct investment projects that are able to, when they are established in most of our countries, are able to create jobs that most of the young people out there are looking for. So over the years, quite some challenges here and there. HIV/AIDS, for example, is one disease that has affected the region just as much as AIDS has also affected some other regions outside Sadc itself. But it has affected the human capital of Sadc. And quite recently, we are now talking about the COVID-19 global health pandemic, which almost everybody else is struggling.
And I also understand that the summit is partly through virtual. I also understand that the summit is, I think it's 70% virtually and 30% physical.
Yeah, because usually the gathering is quite very huge, quite very big from what we are able to see out here. But it was understood earlier on when Malawi accepted to host this summit that in view of the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic that has caused quite a very big devastation across the region, it must be accepted that if the meeting has to take place, which it really must take place because life has to go on, then they decided that some of these things must be attended virtually, so that at least, but at the same time, allow the leaders to be able to meet physically, because they've been meeting virtually for the past couple of months. But then they also need to meet physically, because some of the issues, you talk about issues where they have to actually physically sign and all those things. So that's why we are having it partly virtually, partly people attending physically just right here.
And apart from today being a happy day, because today, I was saying today is a very happy day for Malawi, especially because the president of this nation, Dr. Lazarus Macarthur Chakwera, will be taking over the position of chairmanship from the current chairperson. I understand just arrived in the country this morning. Yes. Apart from that, apart from today being an auspicious occasion, what else do you think as Malawi we will benefit from this occasion?
Yes, the taking over of the chairmanship is the icing on the cake, as they say. It's what Malawi, through President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, will be assuming chairmanship of Sadiq. And that in itself is an opportunity for Malawi, because Malawi will now be leading the pack in Sadiq. And that allows Malawi itself to be able to look at the things from a different perspective. Because when you are actually leading, it becomes something that is very interesting. But when we look at the economic gains, there are quite a lot of other issues that are going to flow. Like I said, apart from talking about issues that are affecting the 360 million people that are in Sadiq, they also have to look at issues of how to advance the economies of their countries. So Malawi basically stands to benefit quite a lot in both short term and long term. Basically, we were looking at, as we were saying, as you can see, quite a number of other delegates are still coming in, streaming in. Like my friend, you were saying earlier on that what really do we stand to benefit? Malawi stands to benefit both in terms of short-term gains, is what you are able to see.
Yes.
The exhibitors, Malawian companies have been given an opportunity to exhibit the services, the goods and services that they're providing. And we're also looking at the issue of tourism, because I mean the summit provides a great opportunity for tourism. The 400 or so guests that are here are basically going to be able also to be able to move around, see what Malawi can offer. So in terms of tourism, we have to put our act together and make sure that at least we capture what the summit is offering.
Beautiful. Well, we've been joined by the PES in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Lucky Sikwesi. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. We know that you're busy. This morning is a busy morning, but we thank you so much for giving us an opportunity that we can interact. And then maybe, briefly, maybe he can give us an overview of the whole summit.
Well, I think the summit is defined by a number of processes.
Yes.
And today is the climax, as it is the summit. But this started with senior officials meeting that took place last week, and followed by a Minister of Council of Ministers meeting as well.
Yes.
So what happens is that the senior officials work on an operating agenda.
Yes.
Create, look at the agenda, look at the technical aspects of the issues.
Yes.
And thereafter, bring it to the Council of Ministers for their endorsement. And thereafter, the ministers will as well look at them. I think that's when you begin to go into the what we call like the first stage of the political discussions. And then finally, whatever was passed, one has been brought today for the heads of state and government to make decisions. And it is after those decisions that when you go into implementation. And it is today that the theme that people have seen around that was proposed is going to be adopted, and thereafter the implementation begins to go. Let me also indicate that this is a very interesting moment for the Sadc.
Yes.
In 2013, we Sadc sworn in a new executive secretary, and she has served her term, and it ends here.
Yes.
We'll be swearing in another executive secretary here in Malawi. So there is some interesting correlation with what happens.
Beautiful.
And she's done a fantastic job.
Beautiful.
And we trust that whoever's coming in will have the blessings of Malawi, and then we'll perform equally as the outgoing executive secretary.
One other issue that really is exciting Malawians all out there is the issue of Malawi through President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera assuming chairmanship of the Sadiq regional bloc. As Malawi, when you look at that, how does that benefit us really?
There are quite a number of issues indeed. First and foremost, yes, chairship is rotation, but as each country picks, they showcase their capabilities in directing the regional integration strategy. And then at the end of the day, based on how they steer the community, you counted on that. So it's an opportunity for Malawi to show how we can lead the community by ensuring that the key issues that have been identified in the in the theme are going to be delivered. For instance, we would like to promote centers of excellence in as far as the production of vaccines are concerned. So it's an opportunity for us to showcase how best we right from the beginning, like the organization of the meeting, people already. We've organized this the summit. The other benefits are economic, social. We can go on and
on and on and on.
At the end of the day, we get the best out.
Well, thank you so much. We'll give you time, enough time rather to go inside where the summit is taking place.
It's quite very busy for him today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Amene unditu anali principal secretary titero munduna umenewu ona maubale titero dziko lathu ndi maiko ena lake sikwese amene amangotipatsa chithunzithunzi nditu kuti kodi zonse zayenda bwanji komanso pakati pakhala pakuchitika zotani paja tinanena kuti msonkhano unayamba ndi mkumano wa
senior officials. Kuchoka pa senior officials tinabwera pa imene amati Council of Ministers meeting imene inachitika imene monga mene anafotokozera Dr. Lake Sikwese kuti inali njira imodzi imene amaonesesa kuti at least apange agenda yabwino anthu athe kuona kuti kodi atsogoleri akabwera ndi zinthu zimene zikuyeneka kuti adzagwirizane. Ndiye Council of Ministers imene itapanga tinakhala ndi msonkhano wa Tolankhani anapangisa ndi Minister of Foreign Affairs kufotokozera Malawi kuti ayayi meeting tapanga koma takonzeka motere. So zoti tizoona kuti ziyenda bwanji.
Ayamu inetu ndikuyamike kwa basi chifukwa chobwera ndithu ndikuti fotokozera ziwiri zitatu zokhudza mwambo waukulu ndithu umene ukuchitika lero. Thank you so much, Ayam, for joining us this morning. We want to take a stroll and maybe just get a view of the pavilions and stands that are here, and also just to view of what exactly is going on this morning.
You're very right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Robert.
Yes. So you had a good time. You had a good time. I saw you.
I really had a good time. Ndipo zikukoma. Ngati kuti tsiku lonse la leroli tikhalire nkhani yake imeneyi. Ndiye Robert timakamba unena zokuti dziko ndithu la Malawi opindula kwa basi kudzera mu zinthu zosiyana-siyana zimene tili nazo. Ndiye mwina timangofunanso kungowapatsa Malawi chithunzithunzi, and as well as all those that are watching us in the Sadc region, what we have this morning.
Yes.
Robert, nchani chimene makamaka tili nacho lero?
Dziko la Malawi lili ndi zambiri zimene anthu atati aone akhoza kuphunzirapo kanthu. Maybe we can start with the carvings.
Yes.
If you can see, these are the carvings, the pieces with a lot of information. Ndipo mutakuona kuti pali mapu apa, pali zambirimbiri zimene apanga kuti anthu atha kumaphunzira ndi kumaona kuti kodi dziko la Malawi limachita zotani. Palinso anthu ambiri ena apanga za programming, radio programming, onsewa ticheza nawo kuti anthu pa MBC awaone ndithu komanso mu Sadiq aone kuti kodi pachitika zotani. Mutakuonanso pali nkhani zosiyana-siyana. Yetu.
Zina ndi zina
chimene tofuna kuti anthu amvetsetse ndi chakuti mkumano umenewu wapereka mwayi kwambiri kwa anthu amalonda osiyana-siyana, ndipo tichezeko ndi amayi ena apa titaona kuti musaope takulandirani anthu ndithu ali tcheru pakanema yanu MBC kuti aone mukuyankhula pano. Muli bwanji mayi? Tilipo. Ine ndi Robert Kalindiza. Ndithu tili live pa kanema yanu MBC.
choyambirira tangoti fotokozerani dzina lanu zimene mmachita ndi kuti kodi apa pakuchitika chani.
Dzina langa ndine Salome Chiro. Iyi ndi Sale Enterprise imene ili business yanga. Ndimapanga za fashion. Ndili two product range. Pali Sale Africa ndi Woolies by Sale. Sale Africa ndimagwiritsa ntchito nsalu zathu za chimalawi zokula konkuno komanso kama design osiyana-siyana. Woolies by Sale ndimapanga zili ma products a nthawi ya mphepo ndekuti tili ndi wool jackets timathanso kuluka zina zili zonse kama mashawero makadigani maponcho ndi zoterozo. Moti kubwera kwanga pano ine ndinodalitsika chifukwa zimene zinzonyaditsa kuti ndakwanitsa kubweretsa luso langa kuzaonetsa pa platform ngati ya imene iyi.
Inuyo mukuona kuti mupindula bwanji? Tikudziwa zoti kuno kwabwera alendo ochokera maiko osiyana-siyana ndiye kutinso katundu wanuyu aonedwa
omukonda achuluka.
Chibwerereni kuno mwina mwagulidwako katundu wanu.
Ndagulidwapo ndi alendo ambiri ochokera kunja mwana Lesotho, South Africa, ndithu naso Madagascar. Ena akwanitsa ndipatsa oda yomwe thamanga kwapangira nthawi yomwe tili panopo. Kwabwino wapita mtunda wautali.
Ndiye pali nkhani ina mayi zimene atsogoleri amenewo akukambirana kwambiri, akukambirana zakuti pakhale mtendere mkatikati mogulitsa malonda m'maiko osiyanasiyana chifukwa atambiri kunyamula diresi choncho kutudutsa nayo kupita dziko lina kumakhala mavuto ndi akambirana kuti zimenezo ayi tiziyenda bwino muno mu Sadiq. Nzabwino
black emerging businesses choti chilodziwa kuti tikula bwino tikwanitsanso kuti tipange zinthu zambiri osati kunokokha koma zinthu zathu zionekerenso ndi maiko ena kopanga zinthu zomwe ali ma products amapangidwa kuno ku Malawi. Kwambiri mpata umwene tapatsika kweredza onese zinthu zathu kuno.
Aife mwina mudzitiona tikuyendayenda pano tikufunitsitsa kuti anthu aone kuti pachitika zotani pano.
Tufunira
zikomo. Apatu apanga za masola
siyana apa akuoneka kuti pali za sola tisamavutikenso mwadandaula nkhani market.
Achikulire tabwera pakhomo pano.
Fikani ndithu muyandikire.
Yes. Good morning.
Morning,
sir. Would like to have a brief chat with you. I think if you can stand here. Thank you. I'm Joyful.
I'm Robert.
This is nice to meet you. Nyasha. That name sounds. Are you from Zimbabwe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Originally. Okay. Now tell us briefly what's going on here.
Firstly, we would like to thank Sadc for allowing us to...
If you can raise your voice a bit, I think.
So I would like to thank Sadc for allowing us the opportunity to come and showcase our products here. So GreenTech is a UK-based company.
GreenTech?
Yes. It manufactures solar equipment. And then we have a company here in Malawi that's called GrowthSense that does the distribution of GreenTech products. So we would like to thank Sadc for giving us this opportunity to showcase our products.
What products are here?
We do manufacture solar panels, solar inverters, solar batteries, the gel batteries and the lithium batteries. We also do customized equipment. We just developed the solar cart that is powered by solar that cools and freezes things, and then one that dries things as well.
Okay. Yeah. So do you sell them locally?
Yes.
Your products at a reasonable price that the Malawian can afford.
And there's something joyful.
Yes.
Some people were talking good of you about the type of or the kind of technology. Is it induction? Induction?
The induction
what does it mean? What does it mean?
So the induction cookers, it's a type of a stove. It's like a hot plate. Okay. It's hotter than a hot plate, but it doesn't depend on to heat the pot. It uses the heat. It just generates a little heat, and then the heat on the container, on the vessel that you're using to cook, is the one that heats and keeps on rotating the heat.
So this is nice.
Yeah, this is nice.
Okay, and you have seen that maybe even people in the villages are also able to buy this in terms of the prices.
Yes. So we have a smaller package of solar, very suitable for the rural areas.
Wow.
Yeah. So we call that the solar home kit. It comes with 6 bulbs. We give you with the solar panel, and then there's no installation you need. You just need to buy that. It's self-installation. Just put the panel outside and you start using.
Now that we are in Sadc region, Zimbabwe is also in Sadc region, and we understand that even there you speak some Chichewa.
Yes.
Kwambiri?
Kwambiri.
Mankhula?
Mayankhula kwambiri.
Koma moyo libwanji kuno pamene mwabweretsa katundu amene?
kuno ndi kwabwino.
Chabwino.
Anthu amalawi ndi anthu ali ndi mtima wabwino.
Amalawi ali ndi mtima wabwino?
Yes.
Mukutero inuyo?
Ndikutero.
Chabwino. Ayi chabwino ndikuti mupitirizabe nkhani imeneyo ticheza bwinobwino nthawi ina panopa tofuna tipitirizebe kuyendabe malo ena ndi ena. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and then
a privilege.
Yes.
We need to.
One other thing, we are looking for governments that want to work with us.
Beautiful.
So that we bring this technology.
Okay.
Not just to bring the finished product,
yes,
but to also manufacture.
No.
And then we supply the whole southern.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Joyce.
Well, Robert, we need to move on.
Yeah. Anything that we can show people?
Yes, actually, there's another stand here.
Okay.
For.
Is it radio?
Farm radio.
Farm radio.
Yes, we also need.
Yeah, because you know, do you know that agriculture, for example, in the Sadc region, is the only sector
Robert,
that brings.
Yes. I'll interrupt you a bit.
Yeah, that's South Africa?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the president of South Africa.
The president of South Africa.
Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yes, Cyril Ramaphosa just arriving. And as I mentioned in the morning earlier on, there are a number of delegates rather, that have already arrived and they are inside. After all of them have now sat, and then also our president is in.
And he was the first to come.
Yes, he was
to welcome everybody.
Yes, to welcome everybody. So we will be starting shortly. But as I said, we are here on Farm Radio Trust.
Farm Radio Trust.
Let's see who we can.
So I was explaining that even in the southern region, agriculture provides a lion's share in terms of the GDP.
Yes.
So seeing people producing, you know, programs about farming and other technologies, this is impressive.
Very impressive indeed.
Yes.
I don't know who we have here.
Clement Shema.
If you can come.
Yeah, come. Yeah, so that people can see you proper.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm joyful and...
I'm Robert Karindis.
Robert Karindis.
I'm Clement Shema.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shema. Now, tell us, what's going on here?
Welcome to Farm Radio Trust stand. Farm Radio Trust is an institution that is an information broker. We believe in information for sustainable development of farming communities. And now we're using different platforms to make sure that we are able to reach out to farmers with information that can help them develop their agricultural enterprises. We are using radio programs. And currently we are partnering with Malawi Broadcasting Corporation. We are partnering with the other 34 radio stations in Malawi to make sure that we are pushing agriculture and other development information to majority of the farmers, knowing that the majority of the people in Malawi, they depend on agriculture. And we have radio programs, but also besides that, we have SMS platforms and SMS pools.
Well, Mr. Shema, just to cut you a bit, there we have the arrival of the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and that's Emmerson Mnangagwa. President Mnangagwa there, going inside the hall where the opening ceremony is taking place this morning.
So, as Farm Radio Trust, we're using different platforms. We're using radio programming to reach out to farmers, knowing that radio reaches masses in a short period of time. But also using SMS platforms, SMS pull and push, where we believe that indeed radio programs are reaching masses, but you cannot produce every day of the week radio programs. So farmers, they need information every day of the week. So we said, no, we can also push the messages that we are pushing through the radio, through SMSs, so that farmers can have information at their fingertips, which they can refer to at any time of the day or any time of the week. And besides that, we also have a call center, knowing that SMS platforms as well have limited, as you know, that you only have limited characters that you can put in a text message. So we have a call center where farmers, whether they're in their field or wherever, they can call and inquire or ask for any information about their agricultural enterprises. So farmers can call for free. They can call on Airtel numbers 8111 on TNM numbers on 7111 and attached to the Mlimi hotline, where farmers can call and speak to our extension agents. By the way, these extension agents are talking to farmers live right now.
That's beautiful.
Right,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, so attached to the call center, we have interactive. Farmers have an option. They either opt to speak to an agent or they can just listen to the information, audio. They can just listen to audio information. So they can listen to audio agriculture advisories, they can ask questions, they can inquire and have their voices recorded so that when we get back to the system, we can come back with responses to them.
Well, I've also seen His Excellency Philippe Jacinto Nyusi, President of Mozambique. He has just arrived as well. And we are moving on with our transmission, our live broadcast here in the capital city of Malawi, in Lilongwe, where the 41st Ordinary Summit of Heads of State and Government is taking place. And as I mentioned earlier on, as we were opening our broadcast, we said the opening ceremony will be taking place shortly this morning, and we will broadcast the entire event. Greetings to all our viewers if you are watching us in the 16 member states of the Sadc region. We welcome you. And shortly, I also will be joined by my colleague Robert Kalindiza. Robert, timacheza nditu motero ndi anzathu amenewa aku Farm Radio Trust makamaka kungotifotokozera zimene amachita ndi amanena ndithu kuti alimi amakhala ndi mwayi ndithu omayimba foni akakhala kuti ali mwina ndi zingapo kazoti afuse nkhani zokhudza ulimi, nkhani yake ndithu ndimene ukudziwa Robert, chuma chathu ndithu cha dziko chimadzeranso mu nkhani za ulimi.
Ndipo ndizoona Joyful. Tindateronso kuti ngakhale mu Sadiq chuma chambiri akaona akaphatikiza bwino akuti ndithu zimakhala kuchokera mu nthaka. Ndiye kumaona kuti pali mawayiresi oti anthu atha kumamvera kumayimba kuti kodi ine mtedza wanga wachita chuku
ndichite chani titsanzike. Robert, Mr. Shema, thank you so very much for allowing us to have an interview with you. Wishing you all the best. Good luck.
Appreciation as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Let's proceed.
So that people should see what is happening here at the Bingu International Convention Center.
Wow.
There's a lot of beautiful things displayed here.
Yeah. So, Robert, tamapitiriza bendithu kungoti nkhani ya Sadiq. Pamene tikuyenda
chimene tinganene moveka bwino ndija kuti uwu ndi mwayi wa nzama ofukula ndi manja. Chifukwa chakuti
kapena tipite pamenepo kapena
kuti anthu aone ayi koma poti kuno kuti dakalipo mwina we can start preparing, getting set or getting ready to hand over to our colleagues who are inside the hall.
Well, thank you very much, Robert. Indeed, we say that we have our cameras mounted everywhere, on every angle, so that we can take our viewers wherever they are to hear. They should
all the 16
reaching out in their respective homes. So inside the main summit is our colleague Patrick Dambula. Allow me to hand over to him, and we'll be back.
Well, thank you so much, Joyful. Yes, once again, welcome to this live broadcast here at the Bingu International Convention Center, where the 41st Sadiq Heads of States Summit is taking place. Malawi is hosting this event. So as of now, a number of heads of state have already arrived at this place. I saw the President, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, arriving as the host to welcome the visitors. We also saw the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, that's Felix Tshisekedi, arriving. And we also saw President of the Republic of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu, coming to this venue, and she was followed by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. The Mozambican President Filipe Nyusi just arrived some minutes ago, and earlier on we also saw the President of Zimbabwe coming to this place to attend this summit. So going by the theme of the summit, it's saying bolstering productive capabilities in the face of COVID-19 pandemic for inclusive, sustainable economic and industrial transformation. So as the theme is saying, it appears the countries are trying to find ways of promoting trade despite the fact that COVID-19 has disturbed a number of economic activities, not only in the Sadc region but even beyond. So this meeting will discuss some of the ways which can be adopted during that we've had this challenge of the COVID-19 pandemic. Looking at the program, the lineup of events today, the heads of state and government will march into the hall in a procession that will be shortly from now. Thereafter, then we'll see the singing of national anthems, mainly the Malawi national anthem, followed by the anthems of the Sadc and the African Union. And there will be an introduction of the heads of state and government and the dignitaries by the directors of ceremony. We'll also hear introductory remarks by Sadc Executive Secretary Dr. Stegomena Lawrence Tax. That will be followed by a welcome statement by the host president, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera. Then we'll also see a number of videos that will carry messages from the African Union as well as the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. For the first time attending such an event, presidents of Seychelles and the president of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan. We may be aware that Suluhu Hassan assumed the presidency of Tanzania some months ago following the death of the then president John Magufuli. So she will be making her maiden speech in this gathering. It's the first time she will be attending this kind of a summit. Also to make the first ever speech will be the president of Seychelles. So the outgoing chairperson of the Sadc is Filipe Jacinto Nyusi, president of the Republic of Mozambique. So this president of Mozambique will make his speech to bid farewell to the chairmanship of the Sadc region. He just arrived some minutes ago in the country for this event, and he is already here at the venue of this conference. The president, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, will then make an acceptance speech because he will be assuming the chairmanship of the Sadc summit. For the next 1 year, the president of Malawi will be the chair of this Sadc board. South Africa is also going to take the chairmanship of the security organ of the Sadc. So South Africa will take over from Botswana. This will happen also during this gathering of the Sadc meeting. The leaders then will go into a closed door discussion to discuss a number of issues that have been passed on to them by the Council of Ministers. Preceding this event was a number of meetings. It was first the senior officials discussing a number of issues. Then they passed on their discussions to the Sadc Council of Ministers, who have then passed on the outcomes of their meeting to the presidents, to the heads of state. So the agenda will be set following the discussions that have preceded this main event here in the capital, Lilongwe. There have also been a number of other engagements aimed at preparing for the main event that will happen here in Lilongwe. Tikulandireni ndithu Malawi konse kumene mukutimva kuno ndi ku BICC mu mzinda wa Lilongwe, ndipo ndi kumene kuchitike msonkhano waukulu wa Sadc. msonkhano umenewu ndi wa maiko 16 a mchigawo cha Sadc muno mu Africa amene afuna akambirane nkhani zosiyanasiyana. Cholinga chachikulu cha bungwe limeneli kumakhala kukambirana zinthu monga nkhani za malonda ndi mmene angapititsire patsogolo ubale wawo. Ndiye pa msonkhano uti mtsogoleri wa dziko lino Dr. Lazarus Chakwera akhale wapampando wa bungwe limene la Sadc kwa chaka chimodzi. Iyeyu atenga udindo umenewu kuchokera kwa president wa mdziko la Mozambique a Filipe Nyusi afikatu mdziko muno mawa omwe uno. Tinaona wachiwiri kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko lino a Saulos Chilima akulandira alendo osiyanasiyana. Once again, welcome to this live broadcast here at the Bingu International Convention Center in Lilongwe. This is where the Sadc Summit is taking place. Sadc is a body comprising 16 countries. So they are here to discuss a number of issues, a number of challenges that have arisen in the period before this meeting. And it appears like things are beginning to get set inside the hall where the main event is going to take place. So we'll cross over to follow the proceedings inside the main hall.
Lilongwe. Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, one by one, heads of state and their representatives are coming and have our 3 anthems that will signal the beginning of the opening session of the 41st Sadc Summit of Heads of State and Government taking place here in the capital, Lilongwe, in the warm heart of Africa. Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I said, Honorable Ministers and Your Excellencies, that our heads of state and their representatives will be coming in one by one. We already have in the room Ambassador Mwansa Kapea, who is the High Commissioner of the Republic of Zambia to Botswana, and also representative to Sadc. We are now seeing the Executive Secretary of Sadc coming into the room. That's Her Excellency Dr. Stegomena Lawrence Tax. And also we see the Honorable Eisenhower Nkaka, who is the chairperson of the Sadc Council of Ministers. And as I said earlier on, we are honored again to have the Vice President of the Republic of Malawi already in the room, Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima. Coming into the room now is Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of of the United Republic of Tanzania, but also the President of the Republic of Madagascar, His Excellency Andry Rajoelina. And as I said, Your Excellencies, as soon as the last head of state and government arrives, we are going to proceed into the singing of the three anthems: the anthem of the Republic of Malawi, the anthem of Sadiq, and the anthem of the African Union. You just saw on your cameras His Excellency Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, and the incoming chairperson of the Sadc organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, coming into the room now is the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, outgoing chairperson of the organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation. We have also seen the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, President Felix Tshisekedi Chilombo. We also have in the room His Excellency Dr. Eric Kiabetse Masisi, President of the Republic of Botswana, who is also the chairperson of the organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start the opening session of the 41st Sadc Summit of Heads of State and Government with the anthems of the Republic of Malawi, to be followed by the anthem of the Southern Africa Development Community, and the last one is going to be the anthem of the African Union, in that order. Thank you. may be seated, Your Excellencies. Your Excellency, Filippo Jacinto Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique and Chairperson of Sadiq, Your Excellency, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, President of the Republic of Malawi, and the incoming Chairperson of Sadiq, as well as host of the 41st Sadc Summit of Heads of State and Government, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government and representatives, Your Honor, Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima, Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, Honorable Eisenhower Mkaka, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of Malawi and Chairperson of the Sadc Council of Ministers, Your Excellency, Dr. Stegomena Lawrence Tax, the Executive Secretary of Sadiq, Your Excellency, Musa Faki Muhammad, Chairperson of the African Union, following the proceedings virtually, Your Excellency, Dr. Vera Songwe, the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, who is also following live broadcasting, Honorable Ministers from Sadiq member states present, Your Excellencies, Heads of regional and international organizations, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, High Commissioners, and members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. Your Excellencies, my name is Innocent Mvundula from the Sadiq Secretariat, and I'm honored and humbled to direct the proceedings of the opening session of the 41st Sadiq Summit of Heads of State and Government taking place here in the capital, Lilongwe, the Republic of Malawi, the warm heart of Africa. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Summit of Heads of State and Government is a supreme policy-making body of Sadiq. We gather here in Lilongwe 8 years after Malawi hosted the 33rd Sadiq Summit of Heads of State and Government in August 2013. Your Excellencies, I have the honor of introducing the Heads of State and Government and the representatives of the Heads of State and Government who are present here this morning. Allow me to start with the Republic of Mozambique. From the Republic of Mozambique, we are honored to have His Excellency Filippo Jacinto Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique, who is the Chairperson of Sadiq. From the Republic of Malawi, it is my honor to introduce His Excellency Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, President of the Republic of Malawi and incoming Chairperson of Sadiq. May I, Your Excellencies, may I request the media to take the positions that they were asked to take before the meeting started. Members of the media, please, may you take your positions. Thank you, Your Excellencies, and thank you, members of the media, for your understanding. Okay. Your Excellencies, allow me once again to introduce His Excellency Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, President of the Republic of Malawi and incoming Chairperson of Sadiq. From the Republic of Botswana, I have the honor to introduce His Excellency Dr. Mokwetsi Eric Kiabetswe Masisi, President of the Republic of Botswana and Chairperson of the Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation. From the Republic of South Africa, Your Excellencies, I have the honor to introduce His Excellency Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa and incoming Chairperson of the Sadc Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation. From the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellencies, I have the honor to introduce Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania and outgoing Chairperson of Sadiq. From the Republic of Zimbabwe, Your Excellencies, I have the honor to introduce His Excellency Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and outgoing Chairperson of the Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation. From the Democratic Republic of Congo, Your Excellencies, I have the honor to introduce His Excellency Felix Antoine Tshisekedi Chilombo, President of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Chairperson of the African Union. From the Republic of Madagascar, Your Excellencies, I'm honored to introduce His Excellency President Andry Rajoelina, President of the Republic of Madagascar. From the Republic of Namibia, Your Excellencies, I'm honored to introduce the Right Honorable Dr. Nangolo Mbumba, Vice President of the Republic of Namibia. From the Kingdom of Eswatini, I have the honor to introduce the Right Honorable Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini, representing His Majesty King Mswati III of the Kingdom of Eswatini. From the Kingdom of Lesotho, I have the honor, Your Excellencies, to introduce the Right Honorable Matibedi Mohoto, the Deputy Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho. From the Republic of Angola, Your Excellencies, I have the honor to introduce Honorable Ambassador Tete Antonio, Minister of External Relations, representing His Excellency João Manuel González Lourenço, President of the Republic of Angola. From the Union of Comoros, allow me, Your Excellencies, to introduce Honorable Vahil Vulkama, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, representing His Excellency Azali Assoumani, President of the Union of Comoros. From the Republic of Zambia, Your Excellencies, I'm honored to introduce His Excellency Ambassador Mwansa Kapea, Ambassador of the Republic of Zambia to the Republic of Botswana and a representative to Sadc. The Republic of Botswana and a representative to Sadc. Your Excellencies, 8 years ago, in this same place, the Sadc Summit made history by appointing the first female executive secretary of Sadc. This morning, I'm honored to invite Her Excellency Dr. Stegomena Lawrence Tax to deliver her introductory remarks as we begin the opening session of our 41st Sadc Summit of Heads of State and Government. Your Excellency, Dr. Stegomena Lawrence Tax.
Your Excellency Filippo Jacinto Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique and the Chairperson of Sadc, Your Excellency Dr. Lazarus Makath Chakwera, President of the Republic of Malawi, the incoming Chairperson of Sadc, and our gracious host, Your Excellencies, heads of state and government and representatives, Your Honor, the Vice President of Malawi, Honorable Ezhova Mkaka, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of Malawi and the Chairperson of Council of Ministers, Your Excellency Musa Faki Mahat, Chairperson of the African Union Commission. He is not here with us, but he will be delivering his recorded remarks, and this is due to challenges posed by COVID-19. Your Excellency Dr. Vera Songwe, the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission, she will also be delivering her recorded remarks, and we thank you for that. Honorable Ministers from Sadc member states, Your Excellencies, heads of region and international organizations, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, high commissioners, and members of the diplomatic corps, officials from Sadc member states and Sadc secretariat staff, distinguished viewers who are viewing us from Sadc region and beyond, partners from the media, ladies and gentlemen. I'm greatly humbled to stand before you to deliver some remarks this morning. May I begin by expressing our gratitude to His Excellency Dr. Lazarus Makath Chakwera, President of the Republic of Malawi, the government and people of Malawi for accepting to host this 41st Sadc Summit and to take over the chairpersonship of Sadc for 2021-2022. Since your meeting in August last year, the region has lost a number of leaders, including His Excellency Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, the first President of the Republic of Zambia, His Excellency Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, the fifth President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Sir Arnold Jagworth, the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Mauritius, and His Excellency Ambrose Dlamini, the then Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, and a number of Sadc citizens. May I extend our condolences to the government and peoples of Eswatini, Mauritius, Tanzania, and Zambia, Secretariat staff, and all Sadc citizens who lost their loved ones. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Amen. Since August 2020, 3 member states conducted elections, and these are the Republic of Seychelles and the Republic of Zambia, the United Republic of Tanzania. May I congratulate the people and the governments of the Republics of Seychelles and Zambia and the United Republic of Tanzania for peaceful and successful elections. Your Excellencies, my journey as the Sadc Executive Secretary began on the 18th of August 2013, when I was appointed and sworn in here, as it was indicated by the Director of Ceremony, in the city of Lilongwe, the warm heart of Africa. Having completed my tenure, God saw it fit that it is in this same city that my tenure ends and I hand over to my successor. Namshukuru sana Mwenyezi Mungu that it started well and it is ending well here in Lilongwe. This being my last summit in my capacity as the Sadc Executive Secretary, I stand in humility before you, Your Excellencies, to thank you profoundly for the confidence and trust that you bestowed on me to lead the Sadc Secretariat and to serve the Sadc region. I'm immensely grateful for the opportunity and for the guidance and support that you rendered to me during my tenure. I'm proud of what the region has achieved over the 8 years under Your Excellency's stewardship. I'm also grateful for the wealth, knowledge, and experience that I have acquired over the 8 years, which I'll always treasure. Pia naomba nichukue nafasi hii na nitoe shukrani zangu za kipekee na za dhati kwa serikali yangu, serikali ya Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, kwa heshima kubwa ya kunipendekeza mimi kushika nafasi hii kati ya mamilioni ya Watanzania wenye sifa. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Rais, asante sana Watanzania. May I also thank ministers and officials from Sadc member states, Sadc partners, and stakeholders for the tremendous support accorded to me and my team since my appointment. Your Excellencies, Sadc has come a long way since the days of liberation struggles, and we owe our cooperation, unity, and development to the founders of our great organization. Their sacrifices have enabled the level of transformation and the successes we are enjoying today. It is befitting that Sadc recognizes their contribution, and in acknowledging their contributions, in August 2020, the Sadc Summit approved a mechanism to honor the founders of Sadc. May I implore Sadc member states to operationalize the mechanism, which will ensure that the history of Sadc and the legacy of our Sadc founders remain engraved in the history of our organization and is imparted to the generations to come. The Hashim Mbita publication was also launched in 2014, and it documents authentically the history of the Southern Africa liberation struggles, and is also an important reference for Sadc history. The publication is now available in full in English, French, and Portuguese, while Swahili volumes will also be available soon. In the same breath, the journey that the organization has traveled over 40 years of its existence since the establishment of the Southern Africa Development Coordination Conference with Sadc with double C in April 2020 has also been documented in a Sadc at 40 publication that was launched by the Chairperson of Sadiq, His Excellency President Nchi, in June 2021. The publication presents 4 decades of lessons and successes. We all need to be proud of the contributions that we have all made toward the advancement of Sadc development and the integration agenda, and they use the lessons to drive our organization forward and to keep the organization relevant. May I encourage all to take time to read and use these publications and preserve Sadc values and the long and inspiring history of Sadc. A nation or a region that does not premise its future on its values and history journeys on a very bumpy and a dangerous road. Your Excellencies, as I exit, the region remains generally stable with some areas of turbulence that we need to continue to manage correctively as we have always done. And these include unemployment, poverty, disasters, pandemics, acts of terrorism, violence, and the cybersecurity threats. The region needs to remain alert while strengthening mechanisms put in place to address these threats. On the social and economic front, the region has made notable strides in terms of microeconomic convergence, industrialization, Sadc intra-trade, regional connectivity, access to energy, financial integration and inclusion, and the mobile penetration. While the region progressed well in terms of microeconomic convergence over the years, it has been severely hit by dual shock of COVID-19 and the fall in commodity prices. The impact of COVID-19 has exerted more pressure on the already weak regional economy, resulting in significant deterioration in fiscal position and the elevated debt sustainability risks. Member states are therefore encouraged to continue with the ongoing fiscal and monetary measures. In the energy sector, Your Excellencies, during the period of 2014 to 2020, the commissioned power generation in the region increased to 19,738 megawatts, translating into 9% of the targeted capacity of 22,000 megawatts. Access to electricity at weighted average increased from 36% in 2014-2015 to more than 50% in 2020-21. The target is to reach at least 85% in 2030, in line with the Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan 2020-2030. The share of renewable energy also increased from 22% in 2015-2016 to 32% 2019-2020. Energy traded through bilateral agreement also increased from 4,761 gigawatt hours in 2014-2015 to 7,992 gigawatt hours in 2018-2019, and it dropped slightly to 5,642 gigawatt-hour in 2020-2021. The share of the monthly volumes traded through competitive Southern Africa Power Pool market also increased from 10% in 2014-2015 to the highest level of 33% recorded in 2019-2020. Sadly, the traded volumes have been affected by decreasing demand since March 2020 as a result of COVID-19. There has also been significant progress in Sadc mobile penetration. All Sadc member states have established at least 2 cross-border territorial optical fiber links for regional and international transit traffic. And the Sadc mobile penetration has increased from 60% in 2012 and currently stands at 77.4%, with 5 member states exceeding 100% mobile penetration. The Sadc internet user penetration has also increased from 4% in 2012 to 22.9% in 2020. In terms of coverage of mobile service, the Sadc average population coverage by mobile networks is 88%, whereas the Sadc average population coverage by at least 3 giga mobile is 80% and 54% for 4 giga mobile network. The Sadc region accounts for 57% share of 46 internet exchange points in Africa. These milestones are also contributing to our digitization efforts. Notable progress has also been recorded in the financial integration and inclusion The Sadc real-time gross settlement has lower transaction costs, and it has removed the need for correspondent bank. As of June 2021, a total of 83 participating banks from 15 Sadc member states except the Comoros were electronically linked to effect cross-border payment and settlement in real times. And I believe that we have all seen the benefit of this system. From July 2019 to June 2021, total number of transactions settled reached $591.38 billion US. In the area of financial inclusion, the implementation of Sadc financial inclusion strategy and the SME access to finance 2016-2020, which was approved in 2026, is ongoing. As of December 2020, 68 of adults in the region were financially included, both formal and informal sectors, which is around 97 million individuals. In terms of gender split, it is 67% female and 7% male, which is almost the same. Intra-Sadc trade has been fluctuating from 21% in 2016, slowing down to 20% in 2017, and 19% in 2018. To address this, a number of measures are in place, notably through the Sadc Industrialization Strategy and Roadmap 2015-2063 and the Sadc Mining Vision and Action Plan 2019, which were approved in 2015 and 2019 respectively, and a number of frameworks have been put in place and the value chains developed. Nonetheless, the implementation needs to be accelerated. The structure of Sadc economies remain undiversified with a growing natural resource-based sectors, in particular agriculture and mining, that still account for an average of 25% of gross domestic product, while manufacturing sector contribution to GDP has remained at around 13%. The Sadc Industrialization Strategy and Roadmap, Your Excellence, that articulates a coherent approach, therefore remains relevant and a high priority on the Sadc integration agenda. The late Mwalimu Nyerere once said, the more varied the industrialization base in an area, the more prosperous can the people throughout, end of quote. Your Excellencies, the region has encountered various disasters of varying proportions. These include El Nino-induced drought in 2016, the devastating tropical cyclone Idai, Chalen and Eloise between 2019 and 2020, and the current COVID-19 pandemic. His Excellency Thabo Mbeki, the former President of the Republic of South Africa, once said, I quote, "Trying times need courage and resilience. Our strength as a people is not tested during the best of our times," end of quote. Your Excellencies, I'm proud and very proud of Sadc courage and resilience and the unity we are confronted by such adversities. Sadc has put in place measures to collectively address such challenges, which include the Sadc Preparedness and Response Mechanism, which has a number of instruments. Ongoing work to operationalize these instruments, therefore, need to be finalized expeditiously. Regional health security is critically important to our region, and based on the lessons learned from COVID-19 pandemic, concrete measures that will ensure health security in terms of sustainable availability of health products and commodities and the vaccines are urgently needed. And as such, the need to continue enhancing local manufacturing of capacities of such commodities. Your Excellencies, whereas funding of regional programs and activities remains a challenge, Sadc has been able to undertake critical activities using own resources. These include the deployment of Sadc Preventive Mission to the Kingdom of Lesotho and the deployment of Sadc Standby Force to Mozambique. And this, we have been able to use the resources from Sadc Contingence Fund that was approved in 2012 and operationalized in 2015. The construction of Sadc Logistical Depot, which started in April 2018, is also going on using contributions by member states. While regional programs remain a priority if we are to accelerate regional integration, hence the need to fast-track the operationalization of the Regional Development Fund, whose agreement was approved in 2016, and the Regional Resource Mobilization Framework that was approved in 2019. Your Excellencies, I am and will forever be proud of the unity demonstrated by Sadc member states. Fondly, the founding President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, preached the gospel of unity in Southern Africa throughout his life. In December 1918, Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, he said, "We have been united in struggle for freedom. We are united in the freedom of political independence. We shall go forward in unity in the struggle of economic liberation and progress. We shall go forward together in unity," end of quote. I wish to reiterate and reinforce Mwalimu's message and encourage member states to remain united in confronting challenges experienced, hope, peace and security and stability, and the shining example of economic development. Just like it was the case during the years of struggle, the liberation of Southern Africa countries, whenever Sadc proclaims its position in unity, the world listens. When Sadc united to affirm its position on the removal of sanctions imposed on Zimbabwe, on the self-determination of people of Western Sahara. This is the case even at the continental level. You may recall our regional's unity in driving the Sadc on the agenda on African Union institution reform, the unity on the reconfiguration of Forced Intervention Brigade in the DRC, the unity in resolving political and security challenges in the eastern part of the DRC, the Republic of Madagascar and the Kingdom of Lesotho, and the support the Republic of Mozambique to combat terrorism. This notwithstanding, it is worth noting that we are currently confronted by different challenges altogether. Let us sustain and strengthen our position in unity and avoid being fragmented and marginalized. As stronger, we will continue to stand, while divided, we'll stumble and fall. Challenges of today, Your Excellencies, are different and complex, and sometimes may not seem to be visible, but are real, requiring to remain vigilant and united. May I thank our leaders and all of us for committing to Sadc solidarity. As I look back, I visualize the unique and famous 2019 picture of female leaders in Africa and Sadc. Her Excellency Joyce Banda, the then President of the Republic of Malawi and Chairperson of Sadc. Her Excellency Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the former Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Justice Anastasia Msosa, and they are there, who was the Chief Justice of Malawi at the time, and I being celebrated as the Executive Secretary of Sadc. This was the pinnacle of women empowerment. It was a picture of the first. The first female president of Malawi, the first female chairperson of the Commission of African Union, and the first Chief of Justice of Malawi. As the sixth executive secretary, but the first female executive secretary. As I hand over, I look back, I note with satisfaction the progress made in empowering women, both economically and in leadership positions. We have a number of female leaders in various positions, including the first female president in the United Republic of Tanzania, Her Excellency Suluhu Hassan of the United Republic of Tanzania, who has demonstrated beyond any doubt that women are capable of steering nations with outstanding and exemplary leadership and wisdom. May be she supported by all of us, internationally, regionally, and nationally. Naomba sehemu hii niongee pia kwa Kiswahili kwamba Mheshimiwa Rais Suluhu Hassan ambaye ni rais wa kwanza mwanamke katika Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania amethibitisha bila wasiwasi wowote kuwa wanawake wana uwezo mkubwa wa kuongoza mataifa kwa umahiri na busara. Tuendelee kumuunga mkono kimataifa, kikanda na kitaifa. May I also add my voice to the voices of women empowerment advocates in calling for sustained and accelerated progress in women empowerment. I'm confident that the region is set to get more female presidents, more female chairperson of the African Union, more female Sadc executive secretaries, and many more in leadership positions. With the excellent leadership and the commitment that the region has, it will be achieved. A sound organization is grounded on social policies and strategies. As I exit, I'm thankful to Sadc Mission 2050 and the Sadc Regional Indicative Sadc Development Plan 2020-2030, which were approved in August 2020. It is therefore imperative that these policies are used to transform our region to the Sadc we want. I'm confident that the Secretariat under my successor will drive regional integration through this strategic framework for the betterment of the region. Your Excellencies, as I conclude, allow me to affirm that our region needs a dynamic, effective, and efficient Secretariat. A vibrant and a dynamic Secretariat facilitate a vibrant Sadc region. I profoundly thank my Deputy Executive Secretaries, the management team, and the entire Secretariat staff for supporting me to realize the objectives of the region and what was expected of us as servants of the region. The recorded achievements are a result of a wonderful team of dedicated professionals who gave their best in ensuring that we succeed. I'm leaving office with a deep sense of fulfillment. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sadc Secretariat team. I'll forever cherish you and remain indebted. As I bid farewell, I wish my successor the best and assure him or her, because we are yet to know who is my successor, my full support and the humble request that we all support him or her. Being a human, Your Excellencies, I may have erred. Where I erred, it was not intentional, and I sincerely beg for your understanding and forgiveness. Naondoka pia wakati Kiswahili kimekubalika kuwa moja mwa Afrika. Na kama Mtanzania, kwani Kiswahili ni lugha ya taifa langu. Katika mkutano wa baraza la mawaziri uliotangulia mkutano huu, Tanzania ilitumia Kiswahili muda wote. Na wakarimani walitafsiri kwa ufasaha. It is not easy to present the achievement made by Sadc in 15 minutes. I just assure Sadc that when our leaders meet during summits, they take stock of progress made and they provided the needed guidance. And this is what has enabled Sadc to achieve the visible results that continue to benefit the region. Let us continue believing in our leaders. Asanteni sana waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi. Mwenyezi Mungu aendelee kuwaongoza na kuwazidishia hekima. I thank you very much. Motsibuku, Monto Brigado. Asanteni sana, zikomo kwa mbili. And once again, I really am profoundly grateful for this very rare occasion for me being the Executive Secretary of Sadc. It will remain in my memory. I'll always cherish the memorable memories. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency Dr. Stegomena Lawrence Tax, the Executive Secretary of Sadiq, for your remarks, and indeed for your leadership at the Sadiq Secretariat, for your leadership and supporting young people who have got the industry. At this juncture, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, invite the incoming chairperson of Sadiq, His Excellency, and the host of the 41st Sadiq Summit of Heads of State and Government to deliver his welcome statement. Your Excellency, sir.
Your Excellency, Filipe Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique and outgoing Chairperson of Sadiq, Your Excellency Dr. McQuaid, the Organ on Politics, Defense, and Security Cooperation, Your Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic's Defense and Security Cooperation, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Your Honor, Dr. Saus Klaus Chilima, Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, all the representatives of heads of state and government, Honorable Eisenhower Mduwa MP, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Malawi and Chairperson of the Sadc Council of Ministers, all the cabinet ministers from the Sadc region, Your Excellency Dr. Stegomena Lawrence Tax, Sadc Executive Secretary, Your Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Your Excellency Dr. Vera Songwe, Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Your Excellency Dr. Ekwumi Adesina, President of the African Development Bank, Your Excellencies, heads of regional and international organizations, Your Excellencies, head of mission and members of diplomatic corps, distinguished delegates, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocols observed. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Your Excellencies and distinguished delegates to Malawi, the warm heart of Africa. We are deeply honored to host the 41st Ordinary Session of the Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Southern Africa Development Community, SADC. As we say in Malawi, when we welcome special guests, takulandirani. I'm really happy to see all of you, Excellencies, here in Lilongwe, despite the challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic. Your attendance of the summit signifies your strong commitment to the region's development agenda. Malawi is your home, and it has to be, as this is what our founding fathers envisioned when they decided to establish SADC as a community. When we gather like this, we gather as elders of the same village whose people draw water from the same well and sit for meals under the same hut. Excellencies, this year's summit is of particular significance as it comes at a time when the Sadc region, just like any other part of the world, has been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. Since the pandemic has either stalled or reversed the progress we had made in our regional integration agenda, gains that took years and sweat to achieve, we gather here with a shared sense of urgency to revitalize our economies. As we seek to do this, we must redouble our efforts in the areas where we can register quick gains. Chief among them is the fostering of an environment for the creation of jobs for young people across the region, which we must do as a matter of urgency. Toward that end, our convergence here must result in revitalized trade across our borders, enhanced industrial production within our border, an accelerated recovery of key sectors like tourism in the wake of the pandemic. But we must remember that the pandemic is not merely a challenge to be navigated, but a problem to be resolved. And the revival of our economies depends on our collective ability to dispose of this existential threat. It is therefore imperative that we keep up and step up the efforts that we are making as Sadc to comply with the guidelines we already have for stopping this pandemic in its tracks. Because we have a long history of overcoming serious challenges together, there is no reason we cannot overcome this challenge and build our region back better. And this summit is precisely the occasion to which we must rise and come up with lasting solutions to this challenge and its adverse effects on our peoples and economies. One such solution is the successful rollout of a region-wide vaccination program. The efforts made thus far by member states are worthy of applause, but we all know that we are far from the desired goal of reaching herd immunity and reducing high transmission rates. We must therefore tackle the roadblocks standing in the way of our quest to reach this goal. One critical roadblock we must confront is the toxic nationalism that is causing some nations in the world to hoard millions of vaccine doses and deny other nations access to the same. And similarly, we must confront the toxic nationalism that is causing some regions in the world to deny other regions like Sadc the rights to produce vaccines for their own populations. This pandemic is a global health crisis, not a national one. And as Sadc, we must stand united in opposing all forms of vaccination, hampering our ability to recover from it. As you already know, this pandemic has exacerbated the effects of yet another existential threat to our regional integration agenda we have been facing for years, namely climate change, which now accounts for many national disasters in our region. I have in mind disasters like Cyclone Idai, which claimed thousands of lives and defeated our efforts to eradicate poverty, food insecurity, and infrastructural underdevelopment. As we speak, unusual climate patterns continue to displace communities and destroy crops, causing great suffering to our peoples. As Sadc, we must speak with one voice and employ a common strategy to address this threat especially as we approach COP26 in November 2021. Excellencies, a third threat to our regional integration agenda must be we must collectively be vigilant against is regional insecurity. If we are going to have sustainable and inclusive development as a region, the entire region must be peaceful and secure. This is why we as Sadc are right to be proactive in taking bold steps to arrest any emerging pockets of instability. We must never apologize for being decisive in this matter or for addressing the peace and security of all our member states with the urgency we accord to our own. However, we need to remember that maintaining our region's peace and security goes beyond remedial efforts to end the pockets of conflict. Rather, it requires the sustenance of democratic norms, the protection of human rights, and the strengthening of governance institutions. These are the soils in which the seeds of peace and security flourish. For this reason, the pattern of peaceful transitions of power we have been seeing in our region in recent years, the Republic of Zambia being the latest member to embody that, are worthy of global acclaim and our applause. To all the leaders and people of Zambia, we say thank you. Excellencies, I mentioned these three threats to regional integration efforts to motivate you to stay the course. The key pillars of regional integration must be pursued, and the goal of regional integration must be attained. We all agree that if we truly want inclusive and sustainable economic transformation across Sadc, then regional integration is non-negotiable. We must enhance cross-border trade and investment in our region through the existing Sadc mechanisms and, where need be, introduce new ones. We must fully embrace industrialization as the most effective means of achieving the main goals of Sadc, namely increased economic productivity, stronger regional integration, and reduced poverty for people living in the region. We must facilitate the free movement of our peoples in a manner commensurate with our shared conviction that we are truly a community of shared values and shared interests. Excellencies, it is therefore in that spirit of community that I once again welcome you and all delegates to the warm heart of Africa. This is your home. Please enjoy the warmth and friendliness of our people. I can assure you that the government and the people of Malawi are delighted to host you, and we are at your disposal to ensure that your stay is pleasant enough to make you want to come back. For my part, I not only wish you all successful 41st ordinary session of the summit, the heads of state and government of Sadc, but also fruitful deliberations towards the Sadc we want. Thank you for your attention. Muito obrigado. Merci beaucoup. Asante sana. Zikomo kwambiri.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, the incoming chairperson of Sadiq and host of the 41st Sadiq Summit of Heads of State and Government, for your welcome remarks. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is always a tradition that at the ordinary Sadiq Summit of Heads of State and Government, heads of continental organizations are invited to attend and address the summit. Your Excellencies, this year, due to the challenges posed by COVID-19, the heads of continental organizations could not come physically to be present here in Lilongwe to attend this summit. We therefore requested that they provide their recorded remarks to deliver their statements to the heads of state and government attending this 41st Sadiq Summit of Heads of State and Government. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present a recorded video statement by His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the African Union Commission. May I invite you to watch the statement from the AUC Chairperson. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
His Excellency Philippe Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique and Chair of Sadc. His Excellency Felix Tshisekedi, President of the Democratic Republic of Congo and current Chair of the African Union. Excellencies, Head of State and Government, Your Excellency Dr. Stragomena Tax, Executive Secretary of Sadc, distinguished delegates. It gives me great pleasure to address this august assembly on the occasion of the 41st Summit of Sadc Head of State and Government. At the outset, allow me to congratulate His Excellency Philippe Jacinto Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique and outgoing Chairperson of Sadc, for the stellar job during his term. In the same vein, we welcome His Excellency Lazarus Chakwera, President of the Republic of Malawi, as incoming chair. I also wish to warmly congratulate my sister, Dr. Stragomena Tax, for her leadership as Executive Secretary of the Sadc and her strong contribution to the development in the region during her tenure. The theme of this summit, bolstering productive capacities in the face of COVID-19 pandemic for inclusive, sustainable economic and industrial transformation, would not have come at a more appropriate time. This theme aptly captures the multifaceted and complex nature of the challenging facing our collective human security on the continent today. In this regard, I am pleased to see that Sadc's efforts are fully consistent with the approach of the African Union Commission. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to the worst health and economic crisis in recent history, threatening to reverse the hard-won socio-economic gains made in the last decade. Our concerted efforts are therefore needed to accelerate the structural transformation of our economies in order to achieve stronger, more resilient economic growth that creates opportunities for all segments of our populations, especially for women and young people. We need strong investment in the operationalization of the African Continental Trade-Free Area, AFCFTA, and regional infrastructure, as well as all other flagship projects expressed in the AU Agenda 2063. Excellencies, looking back to the past year, we have seen the devastating impact of the pandemic on our member states. And yet, we have also seen unprecedented levels of cooperation and coordination. As you are aware, The African Union Commission continues to implement the continental COVID-19 strategy. In this regard, let me express my sincere gratitude to His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa for his exceptional leadership in overseeing the continental COVID-19 response last year in his capacity as the chairperson of the African Union and as he continues to do so as the continent's COVID-19 champion. Furthermore, President Ramaphosa's advocacy, together with AU special envoys, with multilateral financial institutions in regards to economic stimulus products and debt relief for our economies, represents a critical component of our continental response and recovery strategy. But our continental resilience also had to contend with unexpected global vaccine discrimination. To date, Africa has vaccinated less than 2% of its populations due to a lack of manufacturing capacity and, more importantly, the continued inequality to equitable access to available global vaccine stocks. While this represents a failure in international cooperation during a global pandemic, it is also a stark reminder for the continent to accelerate its economic integration to better ensure its own public health security. Africa CDC, our continental agency for pandemic response, has shown through its outstanding leadership and capacity to lead in this regard. Of equal importance is the establishment of the African Medicines Agency in order to improve the continent's manufacturing capacity of essential medicines. I urge all Sadc member states who have not yet done so to ratify this important AU instrument for it to enter into force. The Sadc region is an example of a strong regional integration and cooperation, further demonstrated by the strong regional support to fellow member state Mozambique in fighting terrorism and promoting regional peace and stability, together with bilateral support from the government of Rwanda. This strategy, underpinned by Pan-African solidarity, is the basis of our vision for a united, prosperous, and peaceful continent. This pandemic has demonstrated once more the necessity for continental and regional integration in order to rebuild back better for the socio-economic well-being of our citizens while ensuring peace and security. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I wish to commend Sadc for the achievements it has realized for its people thus far. I also commend you for the solid working relationship with the African Union Commission, particularly in the area of elaborating a clear division of labor between the AU, the RECs, and member states. It is clear that member states, through the respective RECs, as is the case with the Sadc region, developed even stronger and more resilient regional value chains in the key area of agriculture, industry, and services in order to jumpstart our economies and the livelihoods of our people. With those few words, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you very fruitful deliberations during this important regional assembly.
Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the second to present the recorded statement is Her Excellency Dr. Vera Songwe, who is the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
President of the Republic of Malawi, Your Excellencies, Heads of States and Government, Your Excellency Dr. Stergomena Tax, Executive Secretary of Sadc, Honorable Ministers, Honorable members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, it is a great pleasure and honor to be here at the 41st Sadc Summit, being held under the theme, Fostering Productive Capacities in the Face of COVID-19 Pandemic for Inclusive, Sustainable Economic and Industrial Transformation. I would like to thank His Excellency President Lazarus Chakwera and the government of Malawi for the splendid arrangements made to ensure the success of this meeting despite the difficult circumstances. I would also like to express my profound gratitude to my sister, Dr. Stergomena Tax, Executive Secretary of Sadc, for according me a standing invitation to Sadc Summit, an honor and a privilege I greatly cherish. Thank you. The theme of this summit speaks directly to what the Sadc region must do to build forward better and stronger, to industrialize, not just in any way, but in a way that is sustainable and in a way that is inclusive. Before the crisis, Sadc was already one of the most unequal regions in the world. Today, with the crisis, we see inequality deepening. As the Economic Commission for Africa, we have been working very closely with the Sadc region to ensure that as we put together a plan for building forward better, this plan is more inclusive and more sustainable. COVID-19 dealt a severe blow, particularly to the Southern Africa region. We know that towards the end of July, we had about 3.2 million cases of COVID with almost 88,000 deaths. I want to take this opportunity to thank particularly, of course, President Cyril Ramaphosa for putting together the African Vaccines Acquisition Task Team, which helped, and I am privileged to be part of that task team under the leadership of the Special Envoy Strive Masiwiya, where we've been able to procure 400 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine, Johnson & Johnson, for the continent, and we hope we can do more. We know that the first way out of this crisis is through vaccinations. But not only do we need vaccinations, we also need to produce on the continent. The Sadc region is demonstrating its capacity to do that by starting in South Africa with the production of vaccines in South Africa. This is, for us as a continent, I think a first demonstration that Africa working together, coming together, can effectively build forward better sustainably in the crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, this crisis will affect us in many ways and will take a long time for us to get out of it. Because it is the first crisis, it's the first recession Africa has suffered in 25 years, according to the IMF. The IMF also suggests that Africa, and particularly the developing world, will need about $345 billion to get out of this crisis, or just to meet, to be able to attain its levels of growth that it had before. This is a substantial amount of resources that are going to be required. Today we know that revenues have fallen because a lot of our businesses have stopped. We know that tourism has taken a huge hit. We know that our service sector is suffering. And so meetings like this really are meetings where we need to sit and start thinking, how do we come back better? 2 or 3 things have been positive during this crisis period. One of them has been the use of internet technology. We've gone from about 17% to 24% connectivity on the internet. Many more people have access to the internet, but many more is from 17 to 24. We still have a huge part of our populations that do not have access to the internet, which has further exacerbated the inequalities that I spoke about before. We hope that our leaders, our leaders gathered here today, will ensure that we can increase connectivity in the continent, particularly for women and girls. About 330 million young kids have been out of school because of the COVID crisis. If they had access to the internet, of course they would be able to continue their education. At the Economic Commission for Africa, one of the things that we have done is launch, in coordination with the African Continental Free Trade Area, conversation on how we can actually begin to do pool procurement. And I must say, this is an idea that was taken out of the Sadc region with, again, you leaders beginning to push for pool procurement in many areas of Africa's development for diversification. The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement talks about building and strengthening supply chains. At the Economic Commission for Africa, we decided to bring together these 2 concepts of building supply chains across the continent, but also doing pool procurement to see how we can strengthen our health services, ensure that we produce more drugs on the continent, not just vaccines, Prior to the COVID-19 crisis, Africa was already importing over 90% of its health commodities, many things that we could produce on the continent: syringes, gloves, sterilizers, alcohol, of course, oxygen tanks. We now know on the continent that we can produce them, from Senegal to Rwanda to Morocco. Of course, in the Sadc region as well, a lot of that is taking place. How can we bring that together to ensure that we do this in a way that works not just for the big businesses, but also for small and medium enterprises? Because as we know, our recovery, our building forward better is going to and must include small and medium enterprises, must include women, must include those that have been left behind. Finally, climate change has been, and we're talking, of course, in the presence of His Excellency President Philippe Nyusi. Africa today spends somewhere between 5 to 11% of its GDP reacting to climate events. The Economic Commission for Africa has been privileged working with the African Union again to launch the African Green Recovery Strategy. That Green Recovery Strategy has components on energy, of course, on managing our natural ecosystems, on using nature-based solutions, first to protect our environment, but also to produce jobs. Of course, in agriculture, where we have 70% of our rural populations, ensuring that we can do more productive, more efficient, and more accessible agriculture, which is more sustainable, is going to be an important component of a green strategy going forward. A green strategy going forward also includes tourism, but it includes tourism that is done differently. In the Sadc region, we have done a couple of studies with the Oxford University that show that if, for example, South Africa were to embrace a build forward, better green recovery strategy, they will be able to create 420% more jobs, 320% more value added in the manufacturing sector. So there is value in looking at how one builds forward better under a sustainable, more green economy. The Economic Commission for Africa continues to stand ready to work, of course, with the member states to see how we can continue to build on this strategy, to look for ways in which we can reduce the inequalities that we face across the continent, but in the Sadc region in particular. And finally, that we are able to, with the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, restore growth, restore prosperity, and build a future that is shared and common across all of our countries. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. That was Dr. Vera Songwe, who is the Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA. Your Excellencies, we are going to take a break from speeches and be treated to a cultural performance, which is going to be done by Here As Children. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
Mamelani nkosi yetu. Hau baete baetewa baete inkosi yetu.
Zimata inkosi yetu.
Siyabonga kakhulu, ladies and gentlemen. I stand here before you not only as president, but as a chair of every country in this region. My we are all one. Nobody is different from another. So let's build a good destiny of our region together. Our destiny is not a matter of chance, but choice is not something to be waited for. Rather something to be achieved. Thank you. Ae, Swanayo!
Yo!
that was a performance from Hearers Children, and Your Excellencies, I will not be able to translate everything, but they are welcoming you to the home heart of Africa. Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, every year during the Sadc Summit of Heads of State and Government, we get an opportunity to listen to the maiden speeches from heads of state and government who assume their leadership positions after the preceding summit. This year, we are once again honored to have two heads of state to address this 41st Sadc Summit of Heads of State and Government, having assumed their positions after the last summit held in August 2020. First, Your Excellencies, to address this 41st Sadc Summit of Heads of State and Government will be His Excellency Wavel Ramkalani, President of the Republic of Seychelles, who was sworn in as President on 22nd October 2020. And due to the challenges posed by COVID, he couldn't make it to Lilongwe to attend physically this summit. And he provided a recorded maiden speech, which we are going to play in a moment. May I request Your Excellencies to watch as we play the maiden speech from His Excellency Wavel Ramkalani, President of the Republic of Seychelles. Thank you.
Your Excellency President Lazarus Chakwera, Chairperson of the 41st Summit of Heads of State and Government, colleague Heads of State and Government, Honorable Ministers, Madam Executive Secretary of Sadc, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. There is no greater test of character of a leader than that which calls upon us to make difficult and justified decisions for the betterment of our people, but also to discard inaction as the undoing of even the most well-thought-out plans. With these words, I would like to pay tribute to the exceptional African leaders who have recently passed. The late President John Pombe Magufuli was an extraordinary leader and a true visionary. His service for the people of the United Republic of Tanzania bears true testament to his lasting legacy. To our brother Prime Minister Pravin Jagnnath, your late father, Sir Anirudh Jagnnath, commands our respect and our admiration. Mauritius is a shining beacon today because of Sir Anirudh's sterling leadership that saw the transformation of the Mauritian society. Let us also pay a special tribute to the loss of the last founding father of Sadc and a true African icon, the late Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. His everlasting legacy should serve as an inspiration for today's African leaders to continue to honor his vision of a unified and prosperous Africa. Mr. Chair, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in the midst of one of the most challenging times in our history, it is a privilege to address this assembly for the first time since being elected by the Seychellois people as their president back in October 2020. It is the first time that I address you, but not the first time that I participate in the work of Sadc. During my time as leader of the opposition, my crossing of the desert, if you will, I served as chairperson of the Democracy, Governance, and Human Rights Standing Committee of the Sadc Parliamentary Forum from 2018 to 2020. I also participated in a number of its other activities, even serving as the chair of all chairpersons, having the great role of overseeing model laws for the forum. the values and principles for which SADC stands and which it promotes and defends inspired me to bring real change, real democracy to my country. Seychelles owes much to SADC for this, in the same way that we are indebted to our regional organization for its contribution to our peaceful and exemplary transition from one administration to another. The values and principles which we share continue to shape the direction of our regional integration agenda. We are guided by the belief that we can create a region in which cooperation rather than conflict drives progress, stability, and prosperity for all of us. In this context, we thank wholeheartedly the distinguished leaders who participated in the most recent extraordinary SADC summit of heads of state in Maputo, Mozambique. This reaffirms our region's commitment to tackling terrorism head-on and ensuring lasting peace. This terrorism threat cannot be underestimated. We are all too aware of the risk of a spillover into other territories, as we are aware of the havoc, the indescribable pain and suffering on the Cabo Delgado region itself. We must remain vigilant and focus on identifying opportunities, practical solutions, and more importantly, be action-oriented. For this reason, we reaffirm our stance that there needs to be a harmonization of policies as opposed to the implementation of fragmented policies, as has been the case in some instances. Maritime security may seem to be a somewhat distant concept to some of us on the mainland. But let me reassure you all that the protection of our waters must be a concern to all of us. The Western Indian Ocean maritime route accounts for 12% of the global world trade, and the protection of this important route means protecting our very livelihood. Moreover, we need to take cognizance of the fact that the proliferation of illicit drugs and weapons and the trafficking of persons transported via maritime routes are undermining the internal and regional security of all Eastern African states. All reports suggest that terrorist groups are funding their activities and enhancing capacities through such illicit maritime activities. Once again, the issue of maritime security cannot be overstated and needs to feature prominently on our security agenda. Mr. Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, having served as chair of the Democracy, Governance and Human Rights Standing Committee of the SADC-PF, I find to transform the SADC Parliamentary Forum into the SADC Parliament as an important development to elevate the level of engagement and enhance the political and democratic discourse within our region. The establishment of the SADC Parliament will transcend political cooperation and will also play a pivotal role in amplifying the voice and the will of the people in our part of the world. I have been a staunch advocate of this transformation. Seychelles has already given its commitment, and I urge all of us to make this happen here in Malawi at this session. Our region must stand strong and unified to address the current challenges before us. Having access to the vaccine is a basic human right, and as long as Africa remains deprived of this vital resource, battling the COVID-19 pandemic will be futile. In the context of globalization, our economies are interdependent, and the restriction on economic activities because of COVID-19 in one country most certainly impacts economic activities in other parts of the world. For this reason, I join in the call to countries having a surplus of vaccines to share them with others which are having difficulty accessing the supply of these vaccines. The hoarding of vaccines serves no purpose, but only the narrow, selfish, and misguided interests. To overcome the plethora of challenges caused by the pandemic and to build back better, trade has to be the cornerstone of our economic cooperation. It has been estimated by the World Bank that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement will boost regional income by 7%, or to the value of around $450 billion US. In this regard, I am pleased to announce to this summit that Seychelles is the latest SADC member to ratify the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Being an import-dependent country, the agreement will be a positive tool to help us achieve our objectives, tackle inflation, and lower the cost of living for our people. Mr. Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the fate, indeed the very survival of small island developing states has always been intertwined with the ocean. Seychelles has always attached immense importance to the ocean. Our people have a direct dependence on the ocean resources for their identity, sustenance, and livelihood. Our traditional economic pillars, being tourism and fisheries, depend on the ocean. With our tourism sector brought to its knees in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are forced to give greater attention to the ocean in ways which will yield greater benefits and minimize the risks to the ocean, an ocean which is already under pressure from overfishing, illegal fishing, threats to maritime safety, and the impacts of climate change. Given that most of our states have a coastline, I call on all of us to give greater importance in the protection of our seas and oceans, as was celebrated by the African Union recently. As diligent members of our community, it is incumbent upon us to take bold and innovative actions to achieve our goals of sustainable development, alleviating poverty, and enhancing the standard and quality of life of the people of Southern Africa through regional integration. We, the member states, have invested a lot of resources in SADC, and we are working tirelessly towards ensuring that the multilateral system as a whole is fair, transparent, and efficient. We believe that working in the interest of peace and stability means striving for a more balanced and fairer system founded on true dialogue between all member states. We must never lose sight of these principles. In conclusion, may I once again thank you, my fellow heads of state and government, for your kind messages upon my election and for your warm welcome in your midst. May the Almighty bless the SADC region and our dearest African continent. I thank you.
Your Excellencies, that was His Excellency Wavel Ramankalawani, President of the Republic of Seychelles, delivering his maiden speech. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I inform that all these speeches are going to be posted on our YouTube page so that people can access them. The next maiden speech will be delivered by Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania. Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan is the 60th and first woman to be president of the United Republic of Tanzania, and indeed first woman to be president in East Africa. Your Excellencies, I'm therefore honored to invite Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, to deliver her maiden speech at this 41st Sadiq Summit of Heads of State and Government. Your Excellency, Madam.
Mheshimiwa Filipe Nyusi, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Msumbiji na mwenyekiti wa Sadc, Mheshimiwa Lazarus Chakwera, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Malawi, mwenyekiti wa mkutano huu na mwenyekiti ajaye wa Sadc, Waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi na serikali mliopo, Waheshimiwa wakilishi na wakuu wa nchi mliopo, mwenyekiti wa baraza la mawaziri la Sadc pamoja na mawaziri wengine mliopo, Dr. Stergomena Tax, katibu mtendaji wa Sadc, ndugu makatibu wakuu na maafisa waandamizi mliopo, waheshimiwa mabalozi na wakilishi wa taasisi za kimataifa mnaofuatilia mkutano huu, wageni waalikwa, wanahabari, mabibi na mabwana, ni heshima kubwa kwangu kupata fursa hii adimu na adhimu ya kuzungumza kwenye mkutano wa wakuu wa nchi na serikali wa Jumuiya ya Maendeleo ya Kusini mwa Afrika, yani Sadc. Leo ni mara yangu ya kwanza kuzungumza mbele ya wakuu wa nchi na serikali ya Sadc, lakini pia nilibahatika kuzungumza wakati wa mkutano maalumu wa Sadc uliofanyika Maputo, Msumbiji mwezi Juni mwaka huu. Lakini pia ni mara kadhaa niliwahi kuzungumza mbele ya wakuu wa nchi na serikali wa Sadc wakati nikiwa makamu wa rais. Hata hivyo, leo najitambulisha kwenu rasmi wakuu wa nchi nikiwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Kama mnavyofahamu, tarehe 17 Machi mwaka huu nchi yetu iliondokewa na kiongozi wetu mpendwa hayati Dr. John Pombe Magufuli. Kwa msingi huo, naomba kutumia fursa hii kwa niaba ya serikali na wananchi wa Tanzania wote kutoa shukrani nyingi kwenu wakuu wa nchi na serikali wa Jumuiya ya Sadc kwa mshikamano mkubwa mliotuonesha wakati taifa letu likipita katika kipindi kigumu katika historia yetu. Wengi wenu mlikuja kuungana nasi pale Dodoma kwenye mazishi ya kitaifa. Tunawashukuru sana kwa jinsi mlivyotufariji kwenye msiba ule mkubwa. Nasi tunawashukuru sana kwa jinsi mlivyotufariji kwenye msiba ule mkubwa. Nasi wa Tanzania tunatoa pole kwa viongozi wa nchi na wafanyakazi wa taasisi yetu ya Sadc waliotangulia mbele ya haki. Mwenyezi Mungu apumzishe roho zao mahali pema peponi. Amen. Napenda pia kutumia fursa hii kuwashukuru kwa jinsi mlivyonishika mkono na kunipa moyo. Kwa hakika maneno yenu yalinipa ujasiri na kuniongezea kujiamini. Nawashukuru sana kaka zangu kwa mshikamano na ushirikiano mkubwa mliouonesha, ambao umedhihirisha kuwa sisi ni familia moja na hatuna budi kuendeleza mshikamano huo. Waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi na serikali, napenda pia kutumia fursa hii kuungana na wote walionitangulia kuzungumza kwa shukuru wenyeji wetu, Mheshimiwa Rais Chakwera, serikali pamoja na wananchi wa Malawi kwa mapokezi na ukarimu wao mkubwa waliotuonesha tangu tumewasili ndani ya jiji hili la Lilongwe. Tunawapongeza pia kwa maandalizi mazuri ya mkutano huu. Hongereni sana. Binafsi nimefarijika sana kutoa hotuba yangu ya kujitambulisha kwa wakuu wa nchi na serikali nikiwa hapa Malawi. Nimefurahi kwa sababu kwa Watanzania wengi Malawi ni nyumbani, na kwa Wamalawi wengi Tanzania ni nyumbani. Kwa hiyo mimi leo nipo hapa nyumbani. Sababu nyingine iliyonifanya nifurahi kutoa hotuba yangu ya kujitambulisha hapa Malawi ni kwamba Malawi ndiyo taifa la kwanza ndani ya ukanda wetu wa Sadc kuwa na rais mwanamke. Hivyo basi naamini kwa kujitambulisha hapa naongeza msukumo kwa wanawake wengi zaidi kujiamini na kuhamasika kushiriki kwenye vyombo vya kufanya maamuzi. Lakini leo pia nimesikia historia nyingine ya Malawi kwa wanawake, kwamba katibu mtendaji wetu wa jumuiya ya Sadc pamoja na wengine wote wakati anachukua madaraka hayo yalifanyika hapa Malawi, lakini wakati anaachia inafanyika hapa Malawi. Hii ina maana kwamba Malawi ni nchi yenye baraka kwa wanawake. Asanteni sana wa Malawi. Na hapa nataka kuwasihi kaka zangu wa ukanda huu wa Sadc, tuendelee kushirikiana katika kuendeleza jitihada za kuwainua na kuwawezesha kiuchumi na kisiasa wanawake kwenye nchi zetu. Ninalileta kwenu ombi hili kwa sababu katika mkutano wa Generation Equality uliofanyika hivi karibuni nchini Ufaransa, mkutano ule ulinichagua kusimamia au kufanyia kazi haki za wanawake kiuchumi katika eneo hili la kusini mwa Afrika. Hivyo basi nategemea nchi zetu zitashirikiana vyema na timu yangu ya wataalamu katika utekelezaji wa jukumu hili. Waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi na serikali, ni ukweli usiopingika kwa jumuiya yetu imetoka mbali na katika safari yake imepitia milima na mabonde. Mwaka jana jumuiya imetimiza miaka 40 tangu kuanzishwa kwake mwaka 1980. Katika kipindi hicho yapo mafanikio mengi yamepatikana na mengine ni makubwa. Sio tu kwamba nchi zetu zote zipo huru, lakini pia idadi ya nchi wanachama imeongezeka kutoka 7 hadi 16. Vile vile ukanda wetu unasifika kwa hali ya amani na usalama barani Afrika, ingawa kuna migogoro michache inayojitokeza tunayoendelea kuishughulikia. Baada ya masuala ya demokrasia ikiwemo utaratibu wa kubadilishana uongozi unazidi kushamiri ndani ya eneo letu. Mfano mzuri ni kitendo walichoonesha ndugu zetu wa Zambia baada ya uchaguzi kumalizika. Mwingine alishinda, lakini kwa salama wanakwenda kupokezana majukumu. Ndugu zangu, tukizungumzia suala la ukuaji kwa uchumi, tumesikia takwimu za kuimarika kwa uchumi, lakini pia utulivu wa mifumuko ya bei na kukua kwa biashara ndani ya ukanda wetu wa Sadc. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, pamoja na mafanikio makubwa yaliyopatikana, hatupaswi kuridhika kwa kuwa bado tunakabiliwa na changamoto nyingi, ikiwemo kuendelea kwa hali ya umaskini, kasi ndogo ya ukuaji uchumi, tatizo la ukosefu wa ajira, magonjwa, athari za mabadiliko ya tabia nchi na hali kadhalika uwepo wa matishio mapya ya usalama ikiwemo ugaidi, usambazaji wa silaha na uhalifu wa kimataifa. Changamoto nyingine zinazohusu uhaba na ubovu wa miundombinu na ukosefu wa ujuzi na stadi za kazi kwa wananchi wetu. Jukumu la kutatua changamoto hizo tulizo nazo si la wengine bali ni sisi tuliopewa dhamana ya kuongoza kwa kushirikiana na wananchi wetu. Hivyo basi hatuna budi tushirikiane. Kwa msingi huo, nikiwa mwanachama mpya kwenye familia hii, nataka niahidi kuwa Tanzania itaendelea kuwa mwanachama mwaminifu na mwadilifu wa jumuiya hii. Tutaendelea kushirikiana na nchi zote wanachama katika kusukuma mbele ajenda ya utangamano, kushughulikia changamoto nilizozitaja na pia kutekeleza mipango na mikakati mbalimbali ya maendeleo ikiwemo Sadc Vision 2050, the Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan, na pia the Sadc Industrialization Strategy and Roadmap. Tanzania ni miongoni mwa waasisi wa jumuiya hii. Tumeshiriki katika kuanzisha, hivyo tunatambua umuhimu na manufaa yake. Kwa maana hiyo, Tanzania mlioizoea itaendelea kuwa mshiriki mwema na wa kutegemewa katika jumuiya yetu. Waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi na serikali, kama mnavyofahamu, mkutano huu unafanyika wakati dunia na jumuiya yetu inaendelea kukabiliwa na janga kubwa la ugonjwa wa COVID-19. Janga hili, mbali na kuteteresha mifumo yetu ya afya, limekatisha uhai wa watu wengi, na kila siku takwimu za maambukizi mapya na vifo zimekwenda kuongezeka. Njia moja kubwa ya kukabiliana na ugonjwa huu ni kuhakikisha wananchi wetu wanapata chanjo. Sisi Waswahili tunasema kinga ni bora kuliko tiba. Nitumie jukwaa hili kuwashukuru wadau wa huduma za afya na maendeleo kwa misaada ya chanjo wanayotupatia, kwa kuwa na chanjo kunapunguza athari ya maumivu, lakini pia kupunguza vifo vinavyotokana na janga hili. Hivyo basi mahitaji ya chanjo bado ni makubwa, na hatuna budi kuendelea kuongeza jitihada katika upatikanaji wa chanjo na pia kuzishawishi kampuni zinazozalisha chanjo kuridhia kutoa vibali na teknolojia ili kuruhusu chanjo hizo kuzalishwa sehemu nyingine duniani ili kukidhi mahitaji yaliyopo. Nchi zetu pia hazina budi kuendelea kushirikiana katika kujengeana uwezo, sio tu wa kuzalisha chanjo bali pia dawa, vifaa tiba na vitendanishi, kama alivyoeleza dada yetu Vera Songwe wakati akitoa hotuba yake. Waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi na serikali, janga la COVID limetuathiri pia kiuchumi. Takwimu zilizopo kwa mwaka 2020 zinaonyesha kushuka kwa uchumi lakini pia kupanda kwa mfumuko wa bei na kuweko kwa kiwango cha deni la taifa kikubwa kinachokindana na mapato ya mataifa yetu. Hali hii imesababisha nchi nyingi kushindwa kuhimili kulipa madeni yao ya nje. Hivyo basi hatuna budi kushirikiana na kuwa na sauti moja katika kuziomba nchi tajiri na taasisi za fedha za kimataifa kuendelea kutoa misamaha au kurefusha muda wa ulipaji wa madeni kwa nchi zinazoendelea mpaka pale janga hili la COVID litakapomalizika. Kuna umuhimu pia kuiwezesha sekta binafsi kwa kuwa nao pia wameathirika. Waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi, hakuna janga linalokuja duniani bila kuwa na fursa. Niombe sana tutumie fursa zilizokuja na janga hili la COVID. Na nikisema hivyo, niseme nimefurahishwa sana na kauli mbiu ya mkutano huu inayosema bolstering productive capacity in the face of COVID-19 pandemic for inclusive, sustainable economic and industrial transformation. Kauli mbiu hii inadhihirisha kuwa licha ya mlipuko wa janga hili, tunayo nafasi ya kukuza chumi zetu endapo tutaongeza uzalishaji kwenye sekta mbalimbali za viwanda na kilimo. Waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi, mabibi na mabwana, nimepewa fursa ya kusalimia na kujitambulisha. Mengi tutaendelea kujadili. Nimepewa fursa ya kusalimia na kujitambulisha. Mengi tutaendelea kujadiliana kwenye mikutano ijayo na pia wakati tutakapotembeleana. Kwa hiyo, ninapoelekea kuhitimisha salamu zangu, napenda niungane na walionitangulia kuzungumza kumpongeza mwenyekiti aliyemaliza muda wake, kaka yangu Mheshimiwa Rais Filipe Jacinto Nyusi, Rais wa Msumbiji, kwa kazi kubwa na nzuri ya kuongoza jumuiya yetu katika kipindi cha mwaka mmoja uliopita, licha ya kuwepo kwa changamoto ya mlipuko wa COVID-19. Nampongeza pia kaka yangu Mheshimiwa Dr. Lazarus Chakwera wa Malawi kwa kuchaguliwa kuwa mwenyekiti mpya wa jumuiya yetu. Halikadhalika nampongeza mgeni mwenzangu Mheshimiwa Rais Wavel Ramkalawan wa Seychelles kwa kuaminiwa na wananchi kwa kiongozi wa taifa hilo. Kwa pamoja nyote na waahidi ushirikiano mkubwa. Nihitimishe kwa kuishukuru na kuipongeza Secretariat ya Sadc kwa maandalizi mazuri ya mkutano huu. Kwa namna ya pekee namshukuru na kumpongeza sana Katibu Mtendaji wa Sadc ambaye anamaliza muda wake, Dr. Stergomena Tax, kwa kazi nzuri aliyoifanya kwenye jumuiya yetu kwa kipindi cha uongozi wake, licha ya kuwepo kwa changamoto nyingi zilizojitokeza. Tunakupongeza sana na kukutakia kila laheri katika majukumu mengine utakayopangiwa. Tanzania inakupongeza na kukushukuru sana kwa kutuwakilisha vyema na kulinda heshima tuliyopewa na wenzetu. Na katika hilo nataka kuiarifu hadhira hii kuwa tayari nimeshampangia majukumu mengine Dr. Tax, hivyo atakaporejea nyumbani ataendelea kuanza kuyatumikia. Tunataka kuendelea kutumia maarifa, ujuzi na uzoefu alioupata akiwa ndani ya taasisi ya Sadc. Mwisho lakini sio kwa umuhimu, namwahidi katibu mtendaji mpya atakayechaguliwa kwamba Tanzania itampa ushirikiano wa kutosha na katika kutekeleza majukumu yake ya kusimamia au kusukuma mbele gurudumu la maendeleo kwenye jumuiya yetu. Baada ya kusema hayo, namwomba Mungu aibariki Afrika na abariki jumuiya yetu ya Sadc. Muito obrigado. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Zikomo kwa mbili. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much. Asante sana, Your Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, for delivering your maiden speech. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, each year the Summit of Heads of State and Government does recognize the winners of the Sadiq Media Awards and also winners of the Sadiq Secondary School S competition. These competitions were established in 1996 to promote regional cooperation and integration. Your Excellencies, this year, because of the challenges posed by COVID-19, the winners of the Sadiq Media Awards and Sadiq Secondary School Essay Competition did not come to attend this 41st Sadiq Summit of Heads of State and Government. We therefore prepared a video announcing the winners of the Sadiq Media Awards, which are in 4 categories: print, photo, radio, and television. We also have 3 winners of the secondary school essay competition. Your Excellencies, allow me to invite colleagues to play a video which is announcing the winners of these 2 competitions, the 2021 Sadiq Media Awards and the 2021 Sadiq Secondary School Essay Competition. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
The Sadc Secretariat is pleased to announce the winners of the 2021 Sadc Media Awards and Secondary School Essay Competition. In the 2021 secondary school essay competition, learners were given a topic on which to write an essay of 1,200 words. The topic for the 2021 Sadc secondary school essay competition was "How has Sadc contributed to peace and security of the region in the last 40 years, and how can Sadc consolidate peace going forward?" The winners of the 2021 secondary school essay competition are: the third prize of the $750 goes to Ricky Ngulube from the Republic of Zambia. The second prize of $1,000 goes to Tholang Tejani from the Kingdom of Lesotho. Stephanie Ling Yong Van from the Republic of Mauritius is the overall winner of the 2021 secondary school essay competition, and she goes away with a prize of $1,500. In the 2021 Sadc Media Awards, 25 journalists qualified for the regional competition. The following are the winners in the photo, print, television, and radio journalism categories. In the print journalism category, the second prize of $1,000 goes to Mr. Shabani Tambani from the Republic of Botswana. Mr. Jose Luis Mendoza from the Republic of Angola is the first prize winner and goes away with a prize of $2,500. In the television journalism category, the second prize of $1,000 goes to Mr. Emmanuel Munyarazi Chamalimba from the Republic of Zimbabwe. Ms. Jabulila Audrey Binauli from the Republic of Malawi is the first prize winner and goes away with a prize of $2,500. In the radio journalism category, the second prize of $1,000 goes to Ms. Oleria Gabriel Palali from the Mr. Horacio Romau from the Republic of Mozambique is the first prize winner and receives the prize of $2,500. In the photojournalism category, the second prize of $1,000 goes to Mr. Patrick Olari from the Republic of South Africa. Mr. Khasitsiwe Muruakhombe from the Republic of Botswana is the first prize winner and receives the prize of $2,500. Congratulations to all the winners for winning the 2021 Sadc Media Awards and Secondary School Essay Competition for promoting Sadc regional integration, cooperation, and development.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. We are now reaching the climax of the opening session of the 41st Sadiq Summit of Heads of State and Government. At this point, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor to invite His Excellency Filippo Jacinto, President of the Republic of Mozambique and Chairperson of Sadiq, to deliver his keynote address, after which we are going to witness the ceremonial handover of the Sadiq chairship to the incoming chairperson, His Excellency Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera.
Sua Excelência, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, Presidente da República do Malawi e próximo Presidente da Sadc. Suas Excelências, Chefes de Estado e de Governo, os Estados-membros da Sadc,
Member States.
Sua Excelência, Doutora
Your Excellency,
Lawrence Tax,
Lawrence, the Executive Secretary of Sadc, Honorable Ministers,
senhoras e meus senhores. Em primeiro lugar, gostaria de manifestar, em nome da delegação que me acompanha e em meu nome próprio, a nossa gratidão ao povo e governo da República do Malawi pela calorosa recepção e habitual hospitalidade que
the traditional hospitality
desde a nossa chegada a esta jovem e bela cidade de
is our arrival to this
pelas excelentes condições
beautiful city of Lilongwe and for the excellent facilities put
ao
to our
passarmos o
disposal.
testemunho da nossa presidência à República do Malawi.
Hand over our chairpersonship to the Republic of Malawi. We do so
Que une os nossos povos.
as the bonds of brotherhood that unite was demonstrated. Number of acts on a daily basis, from the family exchanges, trade relations, sharing of resources, to build cross-border infrastructure that make our two nations mutually dependent for their prosperity and thus contributing to the deepening and success of regional integration. At this historical junction, when Malawi takes over the baton of the Sadc chairpersonship, we stand fully available in body and soul to collaborate for its success in the same manner that contributed to the success of our chairpersonship, whether within the Sadc Troika or either through the readily availability of President Chakwera to advise and assist Mozambique whenever necessary. In the last of our tenure, we have the humility and the sense of mission accomplished. Nevertheless, we are constrained to record once again our sense of deep regret for the loss of valuable comrades and friends who, in one way or another, gave us their support throughout this tenure. We would therefore to reiterate our heartfelt condolences to the United Republic of Tanzania, the Republic of Zambia, the Republic of Zimbabwe, and the Kingdom of Eswatini for the untimely passing of important leaders in the region, including the founders of Sadc, and the reference in the epic and exciting struggle for the organization and development of the respective countries, the continent, and the other leaders who have left us. We would also like to express our grief towards all family members who have lost their loved ones due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which continues to sow death in our region, the continent, and the world in general. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate the people and government of Zambia on the recent holding of peaceful and successful elections, a reflection of our
fidelidade aos princípios de democracia como via para edificar o futuro risonho para os nossos povos.
For our people. Excellencies, when in August 2020 we assumed the leadership of the organization, we promised to adopt a collegial style of engagement of member states in decision-making processes, exercising a result-oriented chairpersonship in the areas of public health, resilience to the effects of climate change, private sector involvement, and promotion of Sadc as an investment destination, peace and security, combating terrorism, infrastructure, and food security, inspired by the 4 decades of building Sadc under the theme Sadc 40 years, building peace and security, promoting development and resilience in the face of global challenges. As we come to the end of our chairmanship, allow me to comment on some topics that we have chosen as the legacy of our mandate. Public health. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic is still present and visible through the daily tragedy of new mutations, the increase in the number of infections and deaths, as well as the slowdown and possibly recession in national, regional, and global economies. The public health systems are reaching critical levels of saturation in their capacity to provide services to all. At a time when there is evidence that the region is facing a third wave of the pandemic, more morbid and lethal. According to the recent data from the World Health Organization, the African continent has recorded since the outbreak of the pandemic in late 2019 and early 2020 more than 6 million infections and 160,000 deaths, of which more than 20 million infections, or rather 33%, and more than 88,000 deaths, in other words, 55%, are in the Southern Africa region. We would like to leave as recommendation massive testing in urban and community areas, greater coordination in the enforcement of epidemiological control measures, accelerating the acquisition of vaccines and expanding immunization programs, appeal to cooperating partners for financial support and debt relief, waiver of intellectual property rights for technological or technology transfer, the promotion of investment in the pharmaceutical sector, and vaccine manufacturing within the region. During our tenure as chair, through the technical committee plus the ministers of health, our interventions were guided by the need to strike a balance between the restrictive protection measures and the need to keep exchanges between countries of the region open. Our urgency was to remain seized with the regional integration program and promote attitudes and methods of working that induce resilience. In this context, we prioritize the coordination of the response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the procurement and distribution of vaccines, as well as measures to prevent the collapse of health systems with macroeconomic and fiscal initiatives meant to revive the productive sections at national and regional level, with the cautious reopening of the movement of people and goods within the Sadc space. It was also incumbent to the technical committee plus the Sadc ministers have to propose containment measures and guidelines on the methods and ways of working in Sadc, which required the reconfiguration of all face-to-face events in Sadc, in addition to the need for coordination of decisions of health nature, measures for movement and travel within the Sadc space, and the standardization of epidemiological testing and control methods in Sadc member states. In the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, no one will be saved until everyone is safe. Resilience to the effects of climate change. Over the past decade, all 16 Sadc member states have been, in one way or another, affected by natural disasters that have resulted in the destruction of infrastructure, prolonged disruption of essential services, complete stoppage of economic activity, food insecurity, and sometimes in the loss of lives and livelihood of entire communities. The devastating effect of cyclones Idai and Kenneth in 2019 are still visible today. Power transmission lines, bridges, schools, hospitals, communication towers, entire cities had to be rebuilt in Mozambique, Malawi, and Zimbabwe in an environment of scarcity of resources and constraint of our international partners who are also grappling with their own crisis. Therefore, the launch of on the 21st of June 2021 in Akala of the Sadc Emergency and Humanitarian Operations Center, SADC, was of paramount importance, an act which was honored by the gracious presence of His Excellency Dr. Molkwesi Masisi, President of the Republic of Botswana, and outgoing Chairperson of the Sadc organ on policy, defense, and security cooperation, to whom we are very grateful. Sadc cannot indulge in waiting for the fulfillment of the commitments made under the Paris Agreement. Global temperatures will continue to rise. In the coming decades, above 2 degrees Celsius of the pre-industrial levels, and the resulting natural phenomena and disaster will be even more frequent and more severe. Our region has to anticipate and seek within itself solutions for mitigation and adaptation, response and preparedness. Hence, we recommend the full use of the potential of the center installed in Akala, a strategically favorable location. It is our conviction that with the launch of the SEOC, the bases are created for the rapid completion of the legal formalities for each operationalization, namely the signing of the headquarters agreement between Mozambique and the Sadc Secretariat, as well as the memorandum of understanding between member states, private sector involvement, and marketing of Sadc as an investment destination. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we define it as one of the priorities of our presidency the launch of the first Sadc Business Forum, materializing the regional aim of attaching fair relevance to the involvement of the business community in the implementation of the Sadc development agenda and the need to market the region as a destination for investment. It was in this regard that we held the first edition of the Sadc Business Forum and the Sadc Expo on the 22nd and 23rd of June 2021 in Maputo, on the sidelines of the extraordinary summit of Sadc heads of state and government under the theme Sadc Private and Public Sector Dialogue, Entrepreneurship, Investment, and Doing Business in the Sadc region. The first edition of the Sadc Business Forum featured 7 thematic panels and had the presence of 150 guests and 900 and 708 virtual participants representing 12 Sadc member countries, national and regional business associations, as well as representatives of international cooperation partners. This regional event provided a unique opportunity to project in a sustainable way the competitive and productive assets and the potential of Sadc member countries within the framework of each structural development agenda. The forum also enabled the exposure of the Sadc's Southern African region at the international level as a productive and commercial geostrategic bloc and platform. The edition of the Business Forum, in addition to being an opportunity for the dissemination of regional potential and establishment of partnerships, proved to be a concrete way capable of attracting strategic partnership and constituting a platform for dialogue between Sadc and the private sector. We are confident that the incoming chairperson, in the person of His Excellency President Lazarus Chakwera, the guest of honor at the first business forum, will continue to consolidate this initiative. Peace and security, fight on terrorism. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, peace and security constitute one of the foundations of the regional integration process, as its role in enabling the promotion of cooperation, social and economic development aimed at fostering progress and well-being of the peoples of the region is recognized. It is in this regard that we have defined the eradication of terrorism and violent extremism in the region as a strategic priority, focusing on a holistic approach and bilateral and multilateral synergies. In this effort, Mozambique counts on the support of countries in the region and elsewhere, with intervention that focus on building the capacity of the defense and security forces to restore peace, leaving no room for the establishment of elements of violent extremism and terrorism in the region. The SADC Extraordinary Summit held in Maputo on the 23rd of June authorized the deployment of the SADC standby force and mission in the Republic of Mozambique, which may be complemented by other support raised by Mozambique and a bilateral arrangement to achieve success in the fight against terrorism. We congratulate countries of the region for the brotherhood and prompt solidarity demonstrated by the deployment of SADC standby force capabilities in the spirit of the SADC Mutual Defense Pact, which was launched on the 9th of August 2021 in Pemba City, Cabo Delgado province. The deployment of this mission was the culmination of a coordinated action between our countries and close coordination with the chair of the SADC organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation. We are once again to thank for this act and to thank President Assisi, who witnessed the launching of this deployment. We are aware of the need to complement this military intervention with the immediate humanitarian assistance and investment in development in the medium and long term, along with the prevention and the awareness of citizens against this scourge. We will keep Your Excellencies abreast of the progress of this mission and assure you that the level of coordination and relationship with our defense and security forces and the local people is high. I'll come back to this issue during our closed-door session. Food security. Mozambique has identified food and nutrition security in the region as another priority action of its mandate and set to work towards the eradication of hunger and to promote the transformation of the agrarian sector into a source of income for our populations, taking advantage of the immense natural resource potential. According to the Regional Vulnerability Assessment and Analysis Report of 21st March 2021, approximately 51 million people in the region, that is 15% of people, live in a situation of food and nutrition insecurity, including 8.4 million children. This situation is exacerbated by a 2020-21 agricultural season characterized by severe droughts, floods, cyclones, in addition to the macroeconomic shocks resulting from the pandemic. On the other hand, some member states in the region were affected by the resurgence of the migratory locust pest in 2020. In order to address this situation and prevent part of the population in the region from being at risk of malnutrition and chronic poverty, in November 2020, we launched in a virtual format a ceremony, the regional appeal on the African migratory grasshopper for the provision of support to member states affected by the pest. The current shortage of resources and food that could cause a humanitarian crisis, we launched an appeal to cooperating partners to make resources available to improve food security, mitigate the negative impact of pests, as well as investing in expanding the coverage of social security in the region. Under our chairpersonship, we hosted and continue to leverage activities in important sectors of education, science, and technology and innovation, among others, that enable us to make progress in the regional integration agenda, recognizing that science, technology, and innovation are cross-cutting areas and play a vital role in the future development trajectory of SADC towards the so-called fourth industrial revolution that will shape the world of today and tomorrow. Other achievements and challenges. We also rejoice decision of the Sadc Council of Ministers in March 2021. Sadc has once again recognized that it is a critical area for the preservation of our region's identity and cultural and historical heritage that makes Sadc a distinct community. On the other hand, we believe that these achievements, in addition to efforts to transform the Sadc parliamentary forum into the Sadc parliament, an item of the agenda of this summit, will bring our peoples closer to regional institutions, engaging them in the implementation of the priorities of the revised Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan, RISDIP, 2020-2030, whose operationalization and implementation 2021. This is yet another milestone that we reach with effort and contribution by all. The fact that our term as Sadc Chairperson has come to an end cannot be understood as Mozambique's withdrawal from Sadc activities, on that Sadc is no longer part of our foreign policy priorities. On the contrary, we will continue not only as part of the Sadc Troika, but also to fulfill our obligation as members of Sadc, and most importantly, because Mozambique is committed to representing Sadc in other international fora, such as the Peace and Security Council of the African Union, of which we are members, and of the United Nations Security Council, for whose region with elections scheduled for 2021 for the term of 2023-2024. The Sadc Chair is a collective effort. In this connection, we extend our sincere thanks to the senior officials, the Council of Ministers, the various Sadc committees of ministers, and my peers, particularly the outgoing chairperson of the Sadc organ and members of the Double Troika, for the excellent collaboration without which we would have not achieved the outcomes we have just shared. Distinguished members, the frequent interaction that we have at the Troika, the Double Troika, this is something that we have to recognize and which we are very thankful. Last but not least, we would like to thank the Sadc Secretariat team led by our tireless Executive Secretary, Dr. Strogman, and to the incoming Chairperson of Sadc, that is the Republic of Malawi, well led by my brother and unavoidable neighbor, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Shakwera, as well as the incoming Executive Secretary of Sadc. We would like to wish them success and once again reassure them of our government's full willingness. Wish them success and once again reassure them of our government's full willingness to support the implementation of the priorities identified for this demanding but prestigious assignment of leading such an active organization as our Sadc. Please accept our sincere apologies. All those whom we may have hurt during or while chairing or hosting various events, we assure you that this was not intentional. We remain open-hearted in the great Sadc family. Thank you very much. Muito obrigado. Merci beaucoup. Asante sana. Malawi, zikamkombe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, President Filippo Jacinto Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique and Chairperson of the Sadiq. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are going to now witness the handover ceremony of the chairpersonship from His Excellency Filipe Jacinto Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique, to the incoming chairperson, His Excellency Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera. What will happen now is that the outgoing chairperson is going to hand over a badge, and later on is going to hand over a gavel, which are instruments that the chairperson of Sadiq uses when he or she presides over the meeting of heads of state and government. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite His Excellency Filipe Jacinto Nyusi to come forward, and at the same time allow me to invite His Excellency Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, and also allow me to invite Her Excellency Dr. Stegomena Lawrence Tax to facilitate the handover of the chairpersonship.
Ndetu zomwe zikuchitika pakali pano ndizoti wapampando wa bungwe limeneli la Sadiq, President Filipe Nyusi wa ku Mozambique, tsopano akupereka udindo umenewu wa wapampando wa Lazarus Chakwera. Ndetu mwambo wake ndoti President Filipe Nyusi akupereka baji imene tsopano ndikuona kuti akuveka mtsogoleri wa dziko lino kumuyika pa jaketi yake baji imeneyi kusonyeza kuti akupereka udindo umenewu wa pampando wa bungwe la Sadiq kwa President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera. Ndipo tu amene akuthandizira ndi mlembi wamkulu wa bungwe limene ngati mukumva kuseka President Nyusi amakhala ngati akuthawitsa chokhala ngati hamala chimene chimasonyeza udindo umenewu, ndi amakhala ngati akuthawitsa koma ayi tsopano wapereka kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko lino Dr. Lazarus Chakwera. Ndipo kuyankhulana mawu awiri atatu pamenepo kuti ayi ndikufunirani zabwino zonse pamene mukutenga udindo umenewu wa pampando wa bungwe la Sadiq. Nde chimene chachitikanso nchoti President Nyusi anakhala kutsogolo, ndipo pakali pano tsopano kuti wapereka udindo umenewu kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko lino. Nde mtsogoleri wa dziko lino tsopano ndamene.
We just saw the handing over ceremony of the chairpersonship of the Sadiq as an organ. So the chairmanship has now been shifted from President Filipe Nyusi of Mozambique to President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera of Malawi. So very shortly the President will now be making his acceptance speech, accepting the responsibility to be the chair. Let's cross over again.
Dr. Stegomena Lawrence Tax, Sadc Executive Secretary, and all protocols observed. 80 years ago, Her Excellency Dr. Joyce Ntilabanda, former President of the Republic of Malawi, had the honor of assuming the rotating chairship of the Southern African Development Community, SADC, from His Excellency Armando Emilio Guebuza, former President of the Republic of Mozambique. By God's providence, I am honored and humbled this day to take over the mantle of leadership of Sadc from my dear brother, His Excellency Filippo Jacinto Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique, and outgoing Chairperson of Sadc, following a very productive tenure of office. Muito obrigado. On behalf of the government and people of the Republic of Malawi, and on my own behalf, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to my dear brother, His Excellency President Filippo Jacinto Nyusi, the government and the people of the Republic of Mozambique, for your leadership in the launch of two key documents for the region, the Sadc Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan, RISDP 2020-2030, and the Sadc Vision 2050, as well as the establishment of the Sadc Humanitarian and Emergency Operations Center, SHOC, and we will put these instruments to full and good use. Malawi's assumption of the Sadc chairship comes in the context of COVID-19 pandemic and efforts to stop it in its tracks and restore social order. However, the inequalities and disparities accessing COVID-19 vaccines are seriously hindering efforts to save the lives of millions in the Sadc region and must be tackled head-on. I therefore want to make a larger point to the rest of the global community. The inequalities and disparities we are seeing in the distribution and production of COVID-19 vaccines are symptomatic of an old geopolitical framework that is no longer working, no longer sustainable, and no longer acceptable. The world as an animal farm in which some nations are more equal than others. I'm referring to a framework that regards some nationalities as more special than others. I'm referring to a framework that regards some human lives as more worthy of saving than others. Our message to those nations that promote and perpetuate this framework is simple. You are using a tired and failed formula. African countries are full members of the global community. For the sake of the dignity of all human beings everywhere, we as Africans have a moral duty to refuse to be treated as second-class citizens. We as Africans have a moral duty to refuse second-class status in the rules of engagement for participating in the global economy. So the time has come for us to work together to put the ratified African free or continental free trade area to full use until the economic rules that disadvantage our nations are rewritten. We as Africans have a moral duty to refuse second-class status in the restrictions we accept from outsiders for managing our own finances and resources. So the time has come for us to stand together in insisting that our Bretton Woods institutions reconfigure the terms and conditions they have imposed on us for decades, leaving us in deeper poverty than they found us. We, as Africans, have a moral duty to refuse second-class status in our participation in the United Nations decisions that affect the peace, stability, and sustainability of our world. So the time has come for us to insist in the Security Council. And now, as the world faces this global health crisis that has killed millions, torpedoed economies, and disrupted social order, we as Africans have a moral duty to reject second-class status in the distribution and production of COVID vaccines, vaccines invented and manufactured in labs where some of the scientists doing such work are Africans. So the time has come for us to insist that a vaccine that preserves and sustains a person's basic right to life belongs to all nations, no matter who discovered it. I repeat, treating African nations and nationals as second-class members of the global community is no longer acceptable. We do not accept it, and we will not accept it, and we must and cannot accept it. At a regional level like Sadc, this means recognizing that our truest friends in this world are not those who are satisfied to see us continue in our poverty so that they can sustain their messianic complex as our benefactors and liberators. No. Our truest friends in this world are those who work side by side with us on increasing our productive capabilities and turning our economies into engines for sustainable growth. I am therefore honored to launch Malawi's proposed theme for the 2021-2022 Sadc chairship, which is bolstering productive capabilities in the face of COVID-19 pandemic for sustained, inclusive economic and industrial transformation. It is our considered view that the Sadc we want is untenable without leveling the playing field on COVID-19 pandemic, revitalizing the agricultural sector, enhancing value addition, facilitating trade, and simplifying rules of origin. The African Continental Free Trade Area has availed Sadc the opportunity to become the breadbasket and export basket of Africa. But we must seize the moment. We must fully implement the Sadc industrialization strategy and roadmap, Sadc regional agricultural policy, and Sadc regional infrastructure development master plan, among others. In line with the new Sadc theme, the government of 2063, a vision focused on 3 drivers toward middle income status for our economy: agricultural productivity and commercialization, industrialization, and urbanization. In this regard, one of Malawi's flagship projects is the Shire Valley Transformation Program, SVTP, for the period 2018 to 2031, valued at $563 million US. Its aim is increasing agricultural productivity and commercialization for targeting and utilization of natural resources. The true potential of this project lies in the opportunities for private sector participation from member states with the wherewithal for value addition chains towards industrialization. Such initiatives also benefit greatly from annual Sadc Industrialization Week, which facilitates business linkages and promotes trade opportunities between member states. These are the tools for regional integration I promise to push for during my tenure as chair. Because the time has come for us on a regional integration to turn talk into walk. That is why Malawi will ensure that the 5th Sadc Industrialization Week is held here sometime this coming November to make this year's theme a reality. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, allow me to pay my profound tribute to my dear brother, His Excellency Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi, President of the Republic of Botswana, the outgoing Chairperson of the Sadc Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Council, for the commendable progress achieved in consolidating democratic principles of transparency and the rule of law, peace and security in the region during his term of office. We have no choice but to apply ourselves to sustaining the gains made to date, considering how critical this is to other multilateral agreements like the 2063 African Union Agenda, the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, the Vienna Program of Action for Landlocked Developing Countries for the decade 2014 to 2024. In assuming that Sadc chairship, Malawi commits to ensuring that we push our regional goals as we represent the Southern Africa group at the AU Peace and Security Council, UN Human Rights Council, and provide leadership at the UN Least Developed Countries, LDCs. Excellencies, let me also take this opportunity to congratulate His Excellency Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, and the incoming Chairperson of the Sadc Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation. I commit to work closely with Your Excellency to ensure sustained peace and security in the region. In conclusion, I give you all three assurances. One, I assure you of my government's commitment to the ideals, values, and principles of Sadc. Two, I assure you of my best efforts to steer the implementation of the Sadc Regional Integration Agenda. And lastly, I assure you of my enthusiasm to serve you by conducting the affairs of Sadc with the determination required of your chair, an honor I hereby accept with great humility and joy. Long live Sadc. Muito obrigado. Merci beaucoup. Asante sana. Zikomo kwambiri. And thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, President of the Republic of Malawi and the new Chairperson of Sadiq. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, including those that are watching us and following us on MBC TV, we have come to the end of the opening session of the 41st Sadc Summit of Heads of State and Government. We are going, as a tradition, to have a family photo of the heads of states and government present here this morning. And we are going to ask our colleagues from the media to take their position on where the photo is going to be taken. Your Excellencies, the photo is going to be taken to my left, where we have set up to my left for the heads of state and government. And the protocol people are going to guide in terms of movement to the place where the photo is going to be taken, to make sure that the process is done in an orderly manner. Your Excellencies, it's time now for the photo. May I invite the high table to go and take the position at where it's going to be taken. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Thank you, those who have been watching this program, these proceedings. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Ndi amene akuwongolera zochitika pa mwambo umene wotsegulira msonkhano wa chaka chino wa bungwe la Sadc. Iwo ndi Innocent Mbundula, omwe ndi wofalitsa nkhani ku bungwe la Sadc. Ndipo iwo amapempha poyamba akuluakulu amene ali kutsogoloku kaya kuti ku high table kumeneko kunali mtsogoleri.
Well, that's how the closing ceremony, rather the opening ceremony of the Sadc summit, the 41st ordinary summit of the Sadc heads of state and government, has gone on here in the capital, Lilongwe. We've heard a number of speeches from certain presidents and leaders in the Sadc board. Just finishing his speech, there was President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera. He was accepting the responsibility to be the chairperson of the Sadc from now up to the next one. Only we heard from President Filipe Nyusi of Mozambique, who was handing over the chairmanship to our President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera. Among other things, President Chakwera says he will ensure that the agenda of Sadc integration materializes under his leadership as chairperson. He also says it's time African countries come together so that their economies can begin to work properly, much countries outside Africa. So that's briefly what the president said when he accepted the chairmanship of the Sadc. So as you can see in your picture now, the president and the leaders of Africa, particularly in the Sadc region, are taking a group photo. It's called a family photo. So that's what is happening. After this, they will go into a closed session to discuss issues that are on the agenda. So the group photo has now been taken, and following this group photo, these leaders will go now into private discussions. So this is how the opening ceremony of the 41st Ordinary Sadc Summit has gone on here in Lilongwe. Now I hand you over to our colleagues outside who are also following things that are happening there. Let's cross over to our colleagues who are outside this hall.